You've found yourself at the junction where worlds meet. Politics.
Civility? How about honesty in this country, folks?
Entertainment.
I don't like entertainment.
And a whole bunch of other stuff.
It's about having a healthy body image. You have a very unhealthy body. You should have a horrible body image.
Not a big home improvement market in Detroit.
We are definitely going to get letters.
You're listening to Talk Radio's Strangest Animal.
You're a strange animal, that's what I know.
You're getting louder with Crowder.
But you're a strange animal, I got to follow. Oh, I'm in the spiritus. Wow.
There we go. That is it. First time full body dancing. See how much better that is, not gay, Jared?
So much better.
That is the sound of the weekend. Louderwithcrowder.com for all sources. My producer in video studio, as always, is Jared, who is not gay. You can follow him on Twitter at NotGayJared. I fulfill my legal obligations and draw your own conclusions. We good?
We're good. Thank you.
We're good?
We're good.
Gosh. So, notice anything?
I'm trying to think of what it is.
Yeah.
I'm at a loss.
Well, that's often the case. This is nothing new. We are in a brand new studio. For people who can't see, listening terrestrially. Brand new video studio, getting ready as we launch daily with CRTV, louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub to join. Good. I'm out of breath dancing. That's how out of shape I am. And I have this horrible haircut. They cut it too short.
It happens.
It has that balding baby eagle look. You can see this is actually a placeholder neon sign here. That's going to be Louder with Crowder. We got Not Gay Jared. He's so far away. He's in a different room.
Damn.
And
Miles.
a lot of work. Hold on a second. Before we discuss that, big show.
Big show.
Really big show. Live in studio.
Our biggest.
Our biggest ever. We're going to have Dean Cain via satellite, first off. It's our 100th episode. 100th episode.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Someone made a mistake in payroll. There's a glitch, and eventually someone will fix the glitch. That'll be myself, because it's namely me with the payroll.
Yeah, it's what you have to do.
And Dean Cain, Tommy Sotomayor, Courtney Kirchoff in studio, and a big get. We got an exclusive. You don't know this, Fidel.
Like the Fidel?
Fidel from hell.
Like the late Fidel?
We have Fidel from hell. We will actually have Fidel via live broadcast from the gates of hell, from Hades.
That's
down there.
That is a get.
Yeah, it's a get.
The reception's tough down there. The Skype doesn't.
It is tough. I'll have to take
but,
breaks between the pre-scheduled raping. So it is a tough go. But we're in a new studio. Thank you so much for everyone who's been supporting us for years, and that looks a little more professional. But don't be worried. Let not your heart be troubled. This is still a circus.
This is still an epic
if you expect this to go smoothly. And this is our first show in a couple of weeks. We didn't do a show for Thanksgiving, so a lot has happened. A lot of cabinet picks from Donald Trump. A lot of news. Let me bring this up on my screen. I just realized.
Your computer.
Oh, that's right. I got to send my computer. We have this whole new software here that we need to do so that Not Gay Jared can actually. This is just ridiculous. It's so ridiculous to have to be professional for no good reason. There's no good reason to really be professional. You got it?
Yeah, we got it here.
All right, you got my screen. A few big cabinet picks, so we'll talk about that. Well, we want to see what you think. You can tweet me at @SCrowder what you think about the cabinet picks. I'm a big fan of Price, anti-Obamacare. Hopefully, here's what's great about it. Barack Obama's whole legacy.
It's like it never happened.
That's all. Like a candle in the wind.
Will we get those rainbow-colored White Houses anymore?
I don't know if we'll get the rainbow-colored White Houses.
That is something to.
I have no idea.
Down the old Wikipedia.
I very much doubt that we will. Something happened, though, this week with Carrier. So this is something we want to talk about, and then we want to talk about Fidel. We want to talk about OSU, and I have some rebuttals here today because I've been brewing with them with Adam Ruins Everything in the Electoral College. Why it matters, hint, I'm a supporter, and Vox's new anti-Obamacare video. But Carrier, Donald Trump has basically made a deal. Here's the thing. People know that I am not an economic protectionist. The whole I'm going to tax you 35% if you outsource some jobs. I'm like, no, I want Ford to leave Michigan. I'd rather they go to Texas, not Mexico. But you can't force people as a member of the government to stay in states where unions have them by the short hairs. But with Carrier, he did save up to 1,000 jobs. Liberals are quoting 800, and some are still going to Mexico. That's true, through tax breaks. And what's so funny is when you see leftists, we'll come back to this Bernie Sanders, he wrote this socialist screed. This is corporate tax breaks. They're giving more tax breaks and screwing the worker. Because he's actually providing tax incentives. And the thing is with a tax incentive, it's not a bailout. here's the deal that people don't understand with carrier, and this is why I'm actually glad that Donald Trump has done this as opposed to a 35% tariff. Tax incentives to stay in Indiana. See, that's brilliant. That's an easy way to start. Let me give you an example. Okay, 32% corporate tax rate, right? Let's use the low one, 32%. In my estimation, that's robbery. 32% tax. You're taking it from a business. You're punishing a business for creating jobs. You're punishing a business for creating wealth. Now, when you bail out a business, what is that? Well, 32% is theft to the business, and then you're taking money from the taxpayer, which I also believe is theft, to bail out a business from whom you've already committed your act of prickish thieving. Thieving? I don't even know if they're words.
That's an oil.
Yeah, thieves oil. That's true. My wife is into the essential oils. So you have double robbery. So people say it's corporate welfare is a term Bernie's saying. Corporate welfare! No, welfare is when you give people stuff, which is what you want to do, Bernie. Corporate welfare is not saying, you know what? We're going to give you a tax break, meaning we're not going to steal this money off the top. That does not cost the taxpayers the double charge that you have when you have a high corporate tax rate, the business goes under because of a high corporate tax rate, or it outsources, and then you bail them out. So there's a lot that remains to be seen. We don't know exactly what's going to be happening with carrier. I'm always skeptically optimistic with Donald Trump, but for the left to try and act like this is the exact same kind of bailout policy as Barack Obama, it's just moronic. It's not even close. You're just looking around in the studio. You're just panning around. You like using these cameras. Okay. Speaking of moronic.
I knew where you're going with
Adam ruins everything. Electoral college. This is something after Donald Trump swept the Electoral College. Not a historic victory, not a landslide, but a good victory. And he's lost the popular vote by a couple million votes. A lot of people saying, this is unprecedented. It's not. A lot of people saying, this is unfair. It's not. We need to do away with the Electoral College. We don't. And of course, Adam ruins everything at college humor. Emphasis on the college, no emphasis on the humor. They've talked about the Electoral College, and they've tried to do this whole rebuttal on the Electoral College, talking about why it's no longer relevant. So we are going to get into this piece by piece. Adam ruins everything. Namely correct information. Let's roll the first clip.
Every 4 years, we hear the words Electoral College over and over again, but we never talk about what a ridiculous and, frankly, undemocratic system it really is.
Oh, okay. Undemocratic. This is the crux of the argument against the Electoral College, right? It's undemocratic. Yes. People like they fooled. No, that's by design. Let's start with this. Okay, the Marley was dead to begin with. Right? I almost used the Muppets one, the Marleys. They use the Heckler Marleys. Yep, that's not accurate. That's not Dickens. Marley was dead to begin with. The United States has never been a democracy. And that's important. Because if you understand it, you look through that prism, you'll understand why the Electoral College is necessary. Bring up those quotes that we have, Jared. These are just a bunch of quotes that you have from some of the founding fathers or signers talking about how pure democracy is evil. It's one of the greatest evils, Benjamin Rush wrote, because pure democracy is mob rule. Pure democracy is the mob of the majority can infringe on the rights of the minority. Now, I know that leftists love to act as though they're there to help minorities, but not when it comes to the Electoral College, not when it comes to someone over in flyover state. So that is the reason for the Electoral College. We are a constitutional representative republic. We are not a democracy. So if you understand that, well, then the rest of this is irrelevant. But most people don't understand that, and so there needs to be more convincing you. Let's go to the next clip.
The Electoral College gives vastly more power to different voters depending on which state they live in.
Bigger states.
Nope, smaller states. If your state has less people, you have more power.
Yeah. Let's keep going. Let's go to the next clip. I don't. This is the thing. They just say, if you have less this is a problem. Well, this is about to actually go against everything that they use in their premise to begin with. So that's why it's important. Next clip.
Not too many people live in Wyoming, but they have 3 electoral votes, or 1 for every 135,000 voters. California is packed with people, but they have 55 electoral votes, or 1 for every 411,000 voters. And that
Okay, so they try and show percentage-wise that there's more representation with Wyoming. But even if you look at it, 3 votes to 55 with California, it's pretty minute. Let's bring up another clip from everyone's favorite founding father, Hamilton. Let's bring up the Hamilton quote from Federalist Paper 68. where he talks about this. The big reason for this is because you can't just have people pandering to a few big cities. Let's stop by New York, D.C., Los Angeles, San Francisco, Detroit in the 50s, promise them a bunch of stuff, wrap this up, and go home. So the whole reason to try and balance that power is because I know of these crappy states that you think of as flyover states, we'll continue and we'll get to that, like Wyoming, they can't have their vote drowned out by people who are corralled into big cities. I've talked about this a lot. This is why leftists want you in big cities. They want you on public transport. They want you to be dependent on government services. They want you to think it's a sense of community, robbing from your brother through taxes and bigger government. That's why they want you in big cities.
Sounds so nice.
It sounds so nice. But God, Wyoming shouldn't matter as much. Let's get to the next clip.
Who cares if the Electoral College is kooky? I'm kooky. I have 2 turtles.
Okay, well, it gets worse because the Electoral College also creates swing states.
Oh, I love the swing states. They make election night so exciting, kind of like when my turtles move a little.
Well, exciting. I think the fact that the entire election is determined by just a handful of states is really messed up. For one thing, it means presidential candidates can ignore almost the entire country.
Do you see the contradiction here?
I do.
You just tried to ignore the entire country.
Fly over that.
Flyover states.
Fly over here.
Wyoming, why are they represented? No, now all of a sudden they care about the little guy, right? Because swing states allow them to ignore the voiceless in Wyoming, who, by the way, shouldn't really have that many electoral votes to balance the powers that be. Next clip, Jared.
Hello, America. I'm Adam Conover, and I'm running for president of Florida, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. And boy, do I love Florida oranges, Philadelphia cheesesteaks, and whatever you people like in Ohio. The rest of the country can go suck a big one.
Hi, America. I'm running for president for Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Virginia. Swing states change, you dumbass. Swing states change. That's the whole point. Swing states don't stay the same. As party platforms change, as the principles change, you see that with Donald Trump. He's shaken up the whole map. These things, well, we'll come back. We'll talk about this more after the break. I'm getting fired. It's the new studio. It's coming over me in a way that's uncomfortable. Oh, didn't see you there. I was just enjoying my nightly soak with my Louder with Crowder hand-etched mug club, which you can now receive at louderwithcrowder.com/mug club. You get access to all of Louder with Crowder's daily programming, plus the entire CRTV lineup for only $99 annually. $69 if you're a student or a veteran. Just enter in promo code student or veteran. It's a great gift to get yourself this holiday season, or even more, that special someone you love.
Hey, Jared, what are you doing?
Shooting bad guys.
With what?
By AR-15.
Where'd you get it?
AR-15.com.
Enunciate it more clearly so our audience can hear.
AR-15.com.
That's better. They sell guns now?
Yeah, they do.
Are they any good?
They're the best.
Where from?
AR-15.com. Kapoo. Kapish.
They really make that sound?
Didn't have the budget for sound effects. Kapoo. Kapow.
Oh, there's another one.
Kapow.
You got him. With what?
By AR-15.
From where?
AR-15.com.
Hey, how do you know they're bad guys?
Turbans and burkas. Kapoo.
That's racist.
Glad to be with you. Glad to be back. Was that the last clip we have from the College Humor deal?
I think we have one more here.
Okay, well, hold on one second. Let me set this. We didn't want to go into the second segment because we have to get to OSU and Fidel is dead. King Kong, Fidel is dead. What a dick. Glad that he's dead. So we're talking about this. The swing states. That's the big argument, right? Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania. No, those swing states change as parties change, as platforms change. It's convenient that leftists forget this from the myth, from the lie where they try and say, well, actually, the Republicans and the Democrats switched. Of course, we're against Saudi Arabia, you dumbass! When they tried to all the Republicans who were not in the KKK, people like Robert Byrd, who had Klan dental in a company car, switched, and it was all the Republicans now who are racist, and they try and point to Strom Thurmond as an example. But then here, they don't acknowledge that swing states change, as you've seen with Donald Trump. Swing states do change depending on the platforms, depending on the principles. And here's something that's important. Well, let's roll this final clip because I think it's relevant, and then we'll wrap this up.
Okay, well, thank you for the information. I cannot believe our beautiful system has become so messed up.
Oh, no. The Founding Fathers designed our system this messed up.
All right.
Okay, so there you go. Cheap shot at the Founding Fathers, and they'll go into the Founding Fathers had slaves, and all of these arguments. He is right. The Founding Fathers did design it this way, and you have a lot of stupid people. The two-party system, man, the Electoral College, man. They don't understand it. Again, they don't understand that we're not a democracy, that we're a constitutional republic. The Founding Fathers actually, they spent more ink on this than any other branch of government. This was unbelievably important to them. The old quote on democracy is it's basically two wolves on deciding which lamb to eat for dinner. I'm butchering that, but that's the quote on democracy. The reason for this is precisely to combat the kind of, I guess, sort of pseudo-intellectual pretentiousness that you see from the left, where they refer to them as flyover states. What do you do in Iowa? You see that? Did you see the disdain that College Humor has for these flyover states, who they just talk to?
Never been to.
Right, exactly. And they're like, oh, so they're campaigning for a few states. Well, here's the
like joys are potatoes.
Yes, and
Idaho potatoes.
In Iowa?
Idaho.
No, not Ohio. That's Iowa.
Idaho.
Potatoes and corn.
Corn.
That's Indiana. The Indiana sign when you go in is the corn, and their slogan, I think, says Indiana, it's more than corn. Then why are you showing them? We need to tell everyone that it's more than
proud of than corn.
Yes,
Should work on that.
It's more than corn. Well, what do we do what do we show them when they come into the state? Show them the corn. So the disdain they have for flyover states, and then they try and act as though they have a problem with people campaigning only in swing states. Well, listen, swing states matter now. They campaign there strategically because these are actually generally areas of middle America, places that would be underrepresented if not for the Electoral College. Really, what would you do? New York, D.C., Los Angeles, San Francisco, Detroit back in the 50s, where you promise a bunch of union handouts, Chicago, where you cater to the union thugs, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, people in South Dakota are paying for some guy in Los Angeles to take a dump in a tranny-designated bathroom. That's what we don't want to happen. We don't want to burden the rest of the country with values that not only do they not share, but are unconstitutional. Right? That we're so far away from federalism, and this is why we have term limits. This is why representatives are selected, or depending what you're talking about, legislatures. Right? It's a representative republic. We should have terms. We should be changing these politicians regularly, but their job is to represent people and make decisions, not simply to go, all right, put everything to a popular vote. That's the Bernie Sanders. It's democratic socialism. I know, that sounds like a democratic socialism, but it's funnier to the Gilbert Godfrey. Well, democratic socialism doesn't change what it is. Democratic slavery isn't any better. Democratic, I don't know, cheating at POG. The point is, just because people vote for something, it doesn't make it okay. And that is why
people are Googling POG right now.
People are Googling POG.
Yeah, Googling POG.
Keenies. Yeah. I was fantastic at the POG. I sharked kids in the school area to the point I got a detention because I was sharking them gambling. I don't know how to play. Whack! I'm taking all your POGs. This is the takeaway. People who say the Electoral College needs to be done away with, first off, many of them never even thought about it until the professor brought it up after this election because Jill Stein wants a recount. Apparently, she thinks she has a solid chance of winning Wisconsin. And they don't understand that the United States is not a democracy. They don't understand why this matters. They don't understand why the balance of power matters. And they don't understand why we don't want to be simply like Europe. They don't understand the principles behind federalism, behind enumerated powers, why states should have their own autonomy, and why representatives should be chosen by a legislature, and why they should be representing not only the people, but first and foremost, the Constitution. And this is one thing, too, from the left. We've talked about this a lot. They're always caring about diversity. Well, they don't really care about this kind of diversity, right? The Electoral College is a great representative. It's emblematic of intellectual diversity, right? It's emblematic of making sure that people can have diverse states, microcosms, petri dishes, so you can have crappy ones that have salmonella in their petri dish, like California, or you can have a vibrant, successful one, like a strong kefir culture there in Texas, because of intellectual diversity. I don't care about the cultural diversity in the same way that leftists do. I don't care about the racial diversity at all. I certainly don't care about the gender diversity, because of the LGBTQ AAIP, we don't know what that means. I want intellectual diversity with constitutional conformity, borderline constitutional fascism, no wiggle room with the Constitution. Intellectual diversity, constitutional conformity, that's the Electoral College. Did I hopefully explain that well enough?
I think that's pretty well explained.
All right, I think we explained it well enough. What do we have here? Oh, well, the OSU situation. Mm-hmm. Have you been following this?
I have been a little bit.
Here's what I find funny. This guy, the attacker, I don't know if you can see this. He tried to claim he was like 19 or something. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
He tried to claim he was a college student. He's bald with a graying beard. And this is, again, with the refugee laws. It pays to be younger. So ISIS has claimed some sort of credit. He claimed he was influenced by ISIS. We don't want to jump to conclusions, but you can draw your own conclusions. And Courtney will talk about this later on. This week has been so effective at showcasing. You know, BuzzFeed got really mad with the Fixer Upper stars, Chip and Joanna Gaines. I have this up on my screen because one of their pastors, so I have this here, that one of their pastors was firmly against same-sex marriage, right? So they were really upset. They want to try and excoriate these people publicly, destroy their career because they have a pastor who's against same-sex marriage. Now we flip it to Ohio attacker claims ISIS, and ISIS says, yeah, we're going to go with that. Not all Muslims, you guys! Hold on a second. What if he just went to a mosque and his pastor was against gay marriage? Oh, piss off! What does that have to do with anything? So the same week that they're trying to destroy people's careers for a reality show because their church is against same-sex marriage, by the way, not even hateful of gay people, they're just not pro-same-sex marriage. These people can't be tolerated. Someone who slaughters people in the name of ISIS, ISIS says, yeah, we're glad that we inspired that. We have to reserve judgment. The hypocrisy knows no bounds, and here's the problem with the hypocrisy. It's funny for our show. I know, I laugh at it. We have dark humor, of course, and we're not going to stop. But political correctness is actually taking lives because people are so distracted with the gay bakeries and the gay pizzerias and not gay pizzerias that people are killing in record numbers in Islam. Pay no attention behind the curtain. Dean Cain coming up next. Stay tuned.
And now, Home Alone, but realistic.
Slap him right in the face with a paint can, David.
Or shove a nail through his foot.
First thing I'm gonna do is bite off every one of these little fingers, one at a time.
Now, as you can see, Your Honor, this case goes far beyond the scope of basic burglary. Here we see aggravated assault, but more importantly, child abuse, possibly cannibalism, and even pedophilia, as the tapes could reveal. What I intend to prove today, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is that Marv and Harry are not merely armed robbers looking to feed their family down on their luck, but they are cruel, sadistic, bloodthirsty, and should never have a place in civilized society again.
Objection!
Overruled. Stay tuned for more Home Alone, but realistic.
Glad to be back. Our guest, perfectly fitting for the 100th episode. Unlike my dance, I need to get, it's been too long with the Christmas set. We weren't able to do the dancing the same thing. Ruins everything. One of our favorite guests, of course, coming off a failed vice presidential campaign. We're a little disappointed in that, but he's been doing fantastic work hosting the Today Show. I've watched him. I think he's doing it again on December 14th. You know him on the Twitter as Real Dean Cain. Mr. Cain, thank you for being with us, sir.
On the Twitter. Thank you for having me.
On the Twitter. Pleasure. Oh, look at there, that mug. It's a good mug.
And we're daily.
And you said you put that in the dishwasher, which you're not supposed to, but it held up.
The red is still there. Everything worked fine. Top rack, no problem.
There you go. For people who don't, you're not supposed to, but it's more so because those are hand painted. You might lose some of the colors. You're not going to get asbestos or cancer.
I also drive a truck, and my truck doesn't always look perfect either. I just, like, a little bit rugged is okay.
This is true. Unfortunately, many people who drive the big trucks, small penises, but we know that's not the case with Dean Cain.
Not the case. Not the case at all.
We have verifiable proof.
Small truck.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, small truck. It's a Toyota truck. Well, and much like with the Ford trucks, we punish men who take their penis to Mexico. So there's patriotism. So Dean, you were on the live election night, our broadcast, and we didn't really know where it was going because you were on earlier in the evening. You're in Los Angeles. You're in Hollywood. How cathartic has it been to just watch the entire city lose its mind?
I ended up getting a hangover after the election, a literal hangover, because I was just watching it and so stunned. I kept just sipping wine, and it just kept going until my head hurt very much the next day. And apparently California is going to secede from the union, apparently. That's
Good
news
luck.
to me. Yeah, I wouldn't be voting for that. It was really fun to watch the evening go through and see that all the pundits who had been screaming about there being no chance. I literally thought Hillary was going to win. I had said that day. And
yeah, we both did, but we both thought there was obviously we always said about 60-40 Hillary, Trump, and I always said it was more likely than the media thought possible and less likely than the Trump supporters guaranteed.
We're going to ignore that phone call.
We're going to ignore that phone call. Telemarketers in 2016.
That's it.
You're the guy. Is it? But Dean, I've got a great role for you to follow up on the hosting today's show. They want you for a Hallmark Hanukkah film. So
Hey, I just did a Hallmark film. I would do a Hallmark Hanukkah film in a second.
Yes.
as long as the shekels cash. Same thing with Lifetime. My wife won't stop watching Lifetime Christmas films. Have you been in a Lifetime Christmas film?
Yes.
Did you push any woman down a flight of stairs? Because usually that occurs on Lifetime.
Not on camera.
Okay, not on camera. This is true. It was just your agent again. But
Oh,
Dean!
jeez.
Oh, come on.
Watch
You hear
This
this
is
not
good.
good,
Watch
Jared?
this. This
He's
is
got to take the
stuff.
call.
Ready?
Take the
All
call.
right, let's see.
Hello?
Who
Hey, I have to call him right back. Is that okay?
is this? Who is
Thank
it?
you.
Was that your agent?
Boom!
You were right?
No, that was my agent.
Wow. Well, we know someone's
You know
getting
what?
fired.
You're more important than my agent.
Well, thank you.
You and that not gay Jared guy.
This is true. Well, we know that all too well. Now we know Dean Cain is the one guy who answered the landline polls. Everyone was saying, no one asked me. Well, they were asking Dean 400 times. He was their sample size.
Yeah, well, clearly not, because the sample would have been a little bit different.
Yes, it would have been different. So you thought Hillary would win, but you weren't stunned that Trump won.
No, I wasn't stunned. There's a lot of people talking about. I mean, when he shows up at those rallies and that many people are there, and the people that I would talk to, once I got below the sort of top line hate, which everyone just going, oh, it's so embarrassing, it's so terrible,
right?
And then started getting into talking about policy or things, I found that a lot of people were more lined up with Mr. Trump's policies, President-elect Trump's policies, and things like that. I thought, you know what, there could be a shot. And certainly judging by the rallies, I thought maybe there's a possibility. But for me, it was kind of a pipe dream. I'm so excited to see change in Washington. I can't stand it. And yeah, of course, he's going to have some insiders and some guys who have been there before. But it's a whole new ball of wax. And for me, that's exciting because I think we were headed down a very, very bad path.
What has the reaction been from your buddies in the entertainment industry? Are they like wanting to swallow a knife? Are they, let's give him a chance? Are they already caradining from their beams and their porch? What's going on?
Well, it's shocking to see how many people are just so distraught as though the world is going to end.
I know. I love it.
Can't understand that. It's just, that, oh my God, it's such hate. I mean, there is that huge indoctrination that's going on through the colleges, and it's ridiculous. And my son's about to go to college, and I promise you that's not going to happen where he goes to school.
No.
Or they're certainly not getting any of my money. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm a history major. I'm a very patriotic American. I travel the world. I know what it's like to not have the Bill of Rights and to have the freedoms that we have. And to think that this guy's going to come in, and they use the words like dictator or tyrant or and of course the race is sexist, xenophobic, blah, 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 that just becomes the same little mantra. It means nothing. So to see everybody flipping out as soon as they watched, as soon as they watched the Dow hit its all-time high, which of course it already has done,
right?
And to see things turn around and things start to change, I think that there'll be really a lot less screaming and yelling.
The truth is with that market, too, it was like when people try to say, well, equities have done better under Obama than anyone else. I said, well, hold on. You have to remember that there was the crash before Obama, but then before he became president, all of that risk was built in. And when he wasn't as absolutely catastrophic for markets as they thought, that's when it rallied. That's the same thing with Trump. The risk, the crash was built in beforehand, the uncertainty, and then it rallies back. So I wouldn't so much credit Donald Trump having done anything. That's just an example of how off, the speculators are and what a problem system that is. And some of those people are going to be in his cabinet, which I'm not thrilled about. But where are you on the cabinet picks right now? Do you have any that really stand out at you? I know like Mr. Price, obviously, with Obamacare. Any that you're particularly more excited about, or still kind of optimistically skeptical?
Well, there's a few of them that I know, and so I was excited to see them get their shot. I was happy to see Michelle Rhee get a shot at Secretary of Education. She didn't get it, but I know Michelle well, and I like the way she goes and changes and had changed that DC school system. I liked what she had done. And she's a Democrat. I thought that'd be a nice reach across the aisle. I'm not unhappy with what he's done, by the way. General Petraeus is someone I know and really like quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if Secretary of State is a spot for him. I think it's really interesting to see the Mitt Romney discussions going on. I voted for Mitt back in the day, but then once he said those things about President-elect Trump before he was president-elect, I know people are like, oh, jettison him, get rid of it. I don't know. I want the best people in there. And pretty much anybody we put in my opinion, is going to be better than John Kerry.
Well, that goes without saying, Mr. Kerry. Mr. Kerry got scratched by a grain of rice, Purple Heart. But you know what? I will say this, though. Here's the scary part. Not good, Jared. It sounds like a rotary phone in my ear. Are you hearing that?
Oh,
maybe it's just me. It could just be my new earpiece.
Could be.
To hell with it.
It could be the demons in your head.
It could be the demons in my head. This has been described before. I guess the medication needs to be up to slight dosage. Not good, Jared. This is your job. You're supposed to take care of these things now that we're a full scale operation.
Some new ones for you later.
John Kerry. Here's a good example, though. What concerns me is Donald Trump. The $3 trillion in spending proposed, where I was against it when Barack Obama did it. I'm, of course, still against deficit spending when Donald Trump does it. People are saying, well, he's a good business person because interest rates are low. Well, then by proxy, you're saying that Barack Obama was a good business person. So none of that has changed for me. What worries me is this a little bit. Like you said, some good appointees, some kind of insiders, certainly not necessarily draining the swamp. The Democrats didn't have any kind of a bench, right? You had Kerry, and then you did have Obama, who kind of came out of nowhere, but Hillary. With Donald Trump, this will give them an opportunity to probably build a more formidable bench. Like in any sports team, it's like, okay, you have a year now that the seniors have moved on. We have a year to build a bench for next year. Do you see that as something to worry about? And being in L.A., a lot of the fundraisers take places there. Have you heard any rumblings like, oh, it's going to be Alan Grayson? That's just clearly an insane example, but yeah, I know.
Bite your tongue. Bite your tongue, sir.
I'll do my best.
Alan Grayson. Oh. Look, nobody invites me to fundraisers anymore out here.
They just invite you to do the Today Show, and then after a few times they say, no,
the thing is for me is I'm actually an independent. I really don't. I'm a declined estate. I want to see term limits. I want to see, the 23-year congressman get out, be done. You've done enough time. I really want to see those term limits in there and things like that. So, whether there's going to be a deep bench for the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or whichever, I'm not a party guy all the way, although I certainly line up much more with the Republican Party and small government and things like that. But socially, I'm very liberal in that I don't want, self-reliance. Let people do what they want to do, stay out of the bedroom, et cetera, et cetera. Let people, I'm for legalizing, regulating, and taxing marijuana. I'm more for, personal freedoms and things like that. I'm for a woman's right to choose up until it's a viable fetus. And we did a film called Gosnell, which maybe we'll talk about in a bit.
This is true, yeah.
That deals with that. So socially, I'm in more liberal positions, but fiscal, foreign policy, size of government, regulatory things, I'm much more. I line up much more with the Republicans, and I think Donald really is somewhere in between. And I really have great confidence in his ability to pick an interesting cabinet. And have a different group. I mean, he doesn't have those deep ties to Washington.
I think he does in a different way. And there is risk with business, international business, where you do have to be, well, just like, you can't really have your agent necessarily being a producer on a film because there can be a conflict of interest, though it happens all the time. Yes, I know.
Just ask it.
I want the line producer credit in Home for Hanukkah. So I know that, by the way, I'm
going to be in Home for Hanukkah next year.
Yes, you are.
Because I thank you.
This is true. That was for your consideration, Home for Purim. You know, like,
yeah.
just make it less Jewish. Turn down the Jew-ness. Or Ricky Gervais. The truth is, in the entertainment industry, it happens a lot. Where like they consult with Christians. They're like, how do we make this more secular? These are funny conversations. They are awkward conversations that take place. So you've heard it from Dean Cain. He's a horrible liberal who wants to pay lower taxes. That's what I just heard from that rant. Do you think people in Los Angeles, in the entertainment industry, is there a sentiment of, you heard this from Tom Hanks, do you think a lot of them want to give this guy a shot? Do you think a lot of them want to see him, okay, let's see what he can do? Or are they already just trying to stack the deck, rooting for him to fail? Because I will say, I was rooting for Obama's policies to fail if they were socialist, far-left policies, but I was hoping he would succeed by coming home to what, you know, made America, America. That was my sentiment. What's the sentiment you think in Los Angeles with those horrible devil people?
Well, I agree with your sentiment. I was rooting the same thing for President Obama. I was rooting for the same thing. It didn't happen that way.
No.
Here, I think most everybody, I would say probably 90% want to jettison, get out, run. They're rooting for him to fail, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's probably 10%, and whether it's a Mark Wahlberg or a Tom Hanks or a few others that are saying, you know what, give him a chance. It's a dangerous thing to go out there and say because the tolerant left is not very tolerant. They just rip on you and call you names, and you're sexist, and you're xenophobic, and you're racist, and it's the exact same words, and a bigot, and blah,
but then
blah.
they mourn Fidel Castro, who was all of those things.
And then some, and they wear the Che Guevara shirts and things like that, and that stuff is just stunningly ignorant to me.
Well, yeah, Che Guevara was people don't understand, just as bad as Mussolini, Stalin, Pol Pot, Hitler, but just without the charm, actually, of a lot of them.
He had a cool hat.
He had a cool hat, and he had a horrible pubic hair beard, looked like the Taco Bell dog.
That was not sexy.
No, it was not sexy. And here's the thing, I don't know if you know this about Che Guevara. We think about, well, we have the shirt back there. Jared, maybe you get the long shot. I don't know if you know, did you know that Che Guevara never actually fought an armed populace? Never happened. He never fought anyone who was armed. And when they found him, was it Argentina? Bolivia. Yeah, his gun was fully loaded, never fired. And he said, "I'm worth more to you alive than dead." This is their brilliant revolutionary. They need a Dean Cain. We're going to be back and talk about, I don't know, we'll talk about Gosnell, something ethnocentric. We'll make sure there's a soundbite to accuse Dean Cain of being racist. Real Dean Cain on Twitter. Stay tuned.
Former Governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura here, the bod. This election season, and with today's mainstream media, it's very easy to get sidetracked from the stories that really matter. When every tabloid and mainstream network is focusing on the latest hashtag or the Kardashians' fat asses, it distracts Americans from the issues that affect you. Like right now, the historic recount taking place in Wisconsin, in my home Rust Belt of the United States, that will reveal the corrupt political system and the true winner of the popular vote. One Miss Jolstein. Know the facts.
When it's time to party, we will party hard.
What is that? Real Dean Cain on Twitter, at Real Dean Cain. What's that doll?
That is Pablo Picasso.
Who?
Pablo Picasso.
Oh, Picasso. Okay.
Yeah,
At first I thought you said Paul Begala.
I wouldn't have Paul Begala on my desk.
I was like a Tucker Carlson, maybe. I was like, he's a real Crossfire fan. I don't know why.
I like Paul. He's a nice guy, but I don't agree with his politics.
Oh, really? Is he? For some reason, I feel like Paul Begala is just like, when I look at him, I don't know anything about him. This is nothing personal. This is entirely immature ad hominem. When I look at him, I feel like he's like a human, but before they had skin, and they just had kind of a sack, and they dropped them in, and then kind of twist-tied it, but it's not the right fit. Like one day he could unzip himself, be like, actually, it's me, Val Kilmer. And you'd be like, that's what you've been doing, Val. So... Yes, I didn't hear you at all, so I don't even know if your mic was on. Was your mic on, Not Gay Jared? No, it is. I can't hear you. Can Dean hear you?
I'm mad at him. He never calls me back.
He never calls you back.
I don't hear him anyway.
Okay, now you can hear him. This studio
Oh,
is a
there he
nightmare.
is.
All this professional equipment. So Gosnell, the film.
Yes.
We've talked about this before. Philim left me a voicemail, which I never understand. And this time, even all I could understand in the voicemail was that he was mad that I've made fun of his voicemails on the show. Where he said, so even though I'm going to talk very slowly and you'll still make fun of it on your show, that you can't understand me of the Gosnell film. I'm like, I still can't. So something's going on now with distribution with the film. He was talking about it. A lot of people don't want to touch this because it's obviously controversial nature. Now, as an actor, you may not necessarily be privy to all the inside baseball there, but are you aware that there have been some complications? Because this isn't like something they're now trying to bring to distribution. There were things lined up, and then people got cold feet.
Right. Listen, the subject matter, even when it happened, when it actually took place, and when the trials took place and things like that, the mainstream media didn't cover it, and that's a big part of the story.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it's not finding its a distributor right now really kind of adds to that same thing. This guy was a monster. I mean, it's horrific. And you're looking at things like like Nick Cannon out there saying Planned Parenthood is modern day eugenics and things like that. Take a look at this film.
Yeah.
Take a look at this film and see what happened. We don't make stuff up. We don't embellish things. We actually tamped it down in the story. It's
probably
just
if only to make a rating, right? To you didn't want this to be an R.
We just didn't want to, perhaps, but I mean, the things that you see and the things that we have to talk about are just so disturbing. And what you have to learn about this process, it's just horrendous.
Yeah.
Now, I do believe in a woman's right to choose, and I've backed that up before, and I've had to live it, and it's a tough situation. However, there's a point in time where a fetus is viable, and there's a point in time, late-term abortions, it just should not be happening, unless it's the health or the life or death of the mother, and I get that.
Let me ask you this, because obviously I disagree with you on that, respectfully, but let me ask you this, because you kind of are stuck in a hard place, right? Because Republicans or people like me who are pro-life, right, or even people like Christopher Hitchens, where we believe life begins at conception and you're ending a life, certainly. You're with that, and you don't inherently agree with that. But on the left, their only actual policy proposals at this point, as part of the Democratic platform, is abortion on demand, anytime, taxpayer funded. So how does that affect your voting, or do you just almost have to put it off the table because there really isn't a party for someone like you?
Well, I think that there isn't a party for someone like me, but I think it's where probably 80% of the United States of America stacks up.
Yeah.
And that's the odd thing, is it's not one absolutely this way or absolutely this way. We're somewhere in between. And I'm not going to tell a woman what she can do with her body, and I may have my own beliefs as to what is going on religiously, et cetera. But I wouldn't, in this society, I wouldn't, if I were governing, I wouldn't be trying to change that.
Yeah.
In that sense. And it's hard because I think that both parties are polarized, not just in this issue, but for so many, we're probably 80% of Americans are somewhere in between.
I'm pretty polarized on that issue, but again, that goes to just because if I'll tell people I don't no, I think it's a life is a life is a life, and I also think it's important to, and I think we would agree on this, to be a culture that errs in the side of life, because that's such a contrast to the cultures, Islam, the cultures that we fight, that are a culture of death and submission and punishment and power. And I know right now I can already see the chat letting up, well, you incarcerate more people in the States and there are more Saudi representatives. Yeah, but they can't drive, dummy. So, anyway.
Well, here's the thing I like right here is that you and I disagree on this, right?
Prick.
And that's fine. We're having a normal, regular conversation. We're still friends. We're still able to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And we're not hurling insults and names at each other. And that's how it should be. And I don't know where we've gotten to where you can't have a civil disagreement with somebody.
That's because I've seen your Princeton highlight reel, and I don't want to be tackled. Although, actually, and I've seen your American Gladiators performance. Though I think you would tackle me, and then you have a world of problems on the ground. So it could go either way. Could go either way. Let's host it for charity. You have like Danny, what was it, Bonaducci versus the Brady guy, the Mr.
Well, we better do a hell of a lot better job than that.
I know. Oh my God, I know. It's pathetic when you have these people out there like a celebrity boxing. Have you ever watched the Pierre? Not Pierre. Gosh, I always say Pierre because it was Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister. Have you ever actually watched his boxing match?
Justin Trudeau got in a boxing match?
Yeah, an amateur boxing. He actually won. But it was, in the loosest sense of the word, it was like he was fighting a guy who just came out. I think he was a Tory, and he just came out and just, blitzed him like no technique at all. And so he was exhausted. And so at that point, it allowed Trudeau with his chin completely up and a jab that looked like it was taking place in a hot tub to hit him. It was like Homer Simpson. Remember when he just took all the punishment and then he would just tip someone over? That's what it was. And oh my gosh, it is pathetic. So here's the deal. No matter what happens in the United States, we are not as laughable as Canada with that poof in there.
Wow. I work up in Canada quite a bit, and it was interesting because when they had a conservative government in power, suddenly they got rid of their whole debt. And all of a sudden, when I would go up there, instead of them paying me everything in Canadian dollars, they started giving me like my per diem all of a sudden showed up in US dollars. I was like, wait, what is this? It's worth less than a Canadian dollar now? And of course, it's gone back the other way, and they're going to be going down, I think,
Harper,
for the Canadians.
I voted for Stephen Harper, and he's probably the best leader of the United States and Canada combined that I've seen in my lifetime. Now, not as conservative as we'd like in the States, but considering what he had to work with, the guy got a lot done. Dean Cain, at Real Dean Cain, today's show on December 14th.
Yes, and I'm also hosting the Christmas parade in the CW, so check that out.
Oh, you fit right in with the CW. Pretty skin. We'll stay tuned. Oh, look at me. I look like a catcher's mitt.
And now, Home Alone, but realistic.
Nothing would thrill me more greatly than to shoot you. Knocking off a youngster ain't gonna mean all that much to me. Understand?
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Need I say anything else? What you have seen displayed here is a clear example of sociopathic behavior. Let me repeat to you what he said, quoting the transcript. Knocking off a youngster ain't gonna mean all that much to me. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I take him at his word. Because I don't think that there is anything that means all that much to people like Marv and Harry, other than quenching their bloodlust, particularly if it involves a victim who is young, helpless, defenseless, and what the French call les incompetents. Marv and Harry, you are such a disease.
Objection!
Overruled, you little jerk. Stay tuned for more Home Alone, but realistic.
All right, folks. Stephen Crowder here. How often do you hear me do live reads? Usually once a show. We don't have a lot of sponsors. We don't sell a lot of products, and that's why we started the Mug Club. Louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. Louder with Crowder is going daily. Not only do you get a daily show, Not Gay Jared's show with Courtney and the whole CRTV Louder with Crowder team, you get access to Mark Levin, Mark Stein, Michelle Malkin for $99 a year. Or $69 a month if you're a student, promo code student. If you're a veteran, promo code veteran. Military, promo code military. Our friends at AR15.com who are registered members, you can actually have a promo code yourself over there at ARFCOM, which again takes $30 off. We didn't want to do a Patreon. Listen, we didn't want to ask you guys for money. We wanted to provide so much value that that you really wanted to subscribe. And you get this really cool mug, which, by the way, for people who have already ordered them, we've had many, many, many thousands. These are hand painted. We're getting some more out to you. Anyone who ordered before December should get it around Christmas. If you ordered after that, you'll get it in January. The show launches daily January. Let me tell you, the free stuff you like, Louder with Crowder daily articles, it's going to stay free. You don't need to complain. If you subscribe, you can read all the stuff ad-free, and you get the additional daily content. We're not doing a bait and switch. We don't want to pull anything away from you, but there are some complications. We've talked about this with big websites, whether it's YouTube or Facebook. They have the right to pull people, and they often do. And this is a way to archive our content. This is a way to make sure that we can fight back against media. And we're providing you with options to either join, pay daily, or not. And here's something else. Louder with Crowder is growing. You see the studio. We employ close to 10 people. We're hiring more people as well. So you know Not Gay Jared. You know and loathe him. But then we also have Courtney, Casey, Brodigan, Aaron, Francine. Corey is a new writer that we have, and we're hiring 2 or 3 more people, and that's done through contributions and viewers like you, but no government funding. So louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. Still get the free show once a week. You're good if you don't have the money, $69 a year. Bookmark the site. iTunes, YouTube, subscribe, share the stuff. We appreciate it. And when you do scrape enough money together, break open that piggy bank. If you want the daily show, join the Mug Club. louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. Honestly, we couldn't have done this. We couldn't have grown like this without you. We're so glad to be partnered with CRTV. And we're bringing in some other big names. This really is the first time that there's this kind of firepower under one roof, and the partnership is fantastic. They've been so good to us. Frankly, not sad. louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. If you want to support the fight in taking media back, this is how you do it. We're all behind you, and we ask that you stand behind us because you've Mug Clubbed with my brothers. Now Mug Club with me. Now Mug Club with me!
Don't get excited. Here we go.
I never realized this before. You hate me. You're burying me in that dance. You're killing me.
I've only been doing it for months.
I know you've been doing it for months. Producing with me in video studio, as always, is my producer, not gay Jared. He is not gay. Tommy Sotomayor coming up. He's black! So, we didn't adjust lighting in the new studio for this. I'm not going to lie. We'll see what happens.
Wardrobe and makeup was not prepared.
I don't think we have makeup for black people either. He's in here laughing, so it's okay. We have a hood pass. But Tommy Sotomayor and then Courtney. And coming up, we will have Fidel from Hell live, which we're looking forward to.
That is a get.
It is a get. And we have a new booker we're hiring here at Louder with Crowder, so we're getting a lot of exclusive content. Did we zoom in the shot here? A lot of people said they felt so far away from me. The shot was a little too far. It's a little closer. Tweet me at SCrowder. Do you feel better about this? The ARFCOM thread, do you guys feel better that you feel closer to me? We have so much space. Here's the truth. We were offered to go to a big, giant commercial space and do a big cable news type broadcast, and we said, no. So we want to find a space that is really small, that's intimate, where we actually work here every day. This is where we work. So it's very much like the old space, just better and more reliable. I know you had some audio issues with Dean Cain. That should be fixed. Sorry, I feel like we're talking too much. Usually we don't talk so personally. There's just so much going on.
So much going on. It's been such a busy couple weeks.
Yeah, I know. Plus, I have AIDS. I didn't want to just reveal that. I should have led up to that with more.
Built that up a little more.
It's World AIDS Day. And I know what you think.
It's heavy.
I know what you're thinking. It wasn't behavior. It was gay sex. And that's the problem is, it's not.
Assume needles.
I know people assume needles.
Dirty needles.
I'm kidding. It's not. I made out with Maggot Johnson. It wasn't Maggot. I ruined the work. Though he is kind of a maggot a little bit, Magic Johnson. Actually, I don't mind Magic Johnson, but he does have AIDS, HIV. It's funny. It's a funny gag, the HIV, the HIV. So, okay, here's something else I wanted to talk about. We'll get to Fidel. We'll get to Kaepernick. We'll get to more of the cabinet appointees. But Vox did an Obamacare video.
God bless them.
God bless Vox. So Vox put together an Obamacare video after the election, and they had this at the ready because it was released so quickly, trying to, of course, appeal to your emotions, trying to get people to feel sorry for those enrolled on Obamacare, and presenting no really clear factual argument whatsoever.
It's not really their thing, though.
It's not their forte.
Some people news, some people are entertainment, some people are just...
Listen, here's the thing. You have to be open-minded. Some people specialize in watercolors.
Yes.
Some people specialize in interpretive art.
Mm-hmm.
Vox specializes in bullshit. It's what they do. It's what they do very well.
Yes.
I know you're not liking that you have to hit the dump button for terrestrial. More work for not gay Jared. But they did this video, and people were asking me to address it. So, all right, let's just start this video off to set the stage. Vox is trying to create a personal argument, giving you a personal example of someone on Obamacare and why it can't be repealed. Let's go.
This is me, and this is my sister, Annie. She's 28, mom to 2 cats, freelance designer, and part-time grad student.
Oh! Right away with the mom to 2 cats, part-time grad student. Is there do you not know right away what kind of a video this is going to be? That's the kind of person you're like, well, they're not all super crazy social justice leftists who are part-time grad students and claim to be mothers to cats. Oh, crap, they are.
I'd rather brush my teeth with a toilet brush than watch the rest of this already.
I've seen him do it. So that's not really a lofty claim for not
times
gay
call
Jared.
for
In other words, he'd rather go through his Thursday show prep. So mother to 2 cats, freelance. Oh, freelance. Okay, what does that mean? Anyway, so right away, mom to 2 cats, part-time grad student. I'm willing to bet not a particularly productive member of society, but let's roll on, give her the benefit of the cat doubt.
There's just something about freelancing. I feel a lot of creative freedom.
She's also had chronic back pain, neck pain, and migraines for as long as she can remember. She has health insurance through Obamacare, and without it, there's no way she could afford all of her doctor's appointments and medications.
Where'd you get coming back from Nam? Was it the Korean War?
So
it's like all these pills. By the way, I'm willing to bet some of those aren't legal. I'm willing to bet some of those are like folate or something, or it's like a thyroid pill or something really basic. And she's just like, look at all the pills. I need to buy them. Well, here's the thing. If you need that many pills, if you are that sick, probably don't take a freelance job. You probably need to choose a job that might have Cadillac health insurance. You might need to choose a job that would provide it for you. I also wonder, they say she's allowed to write. This is the flexibility she wants. Well, I wonder who she hires. I wonder who she benefits. Let's not just think about the people, the victims, right, who are on Obamacare, because they are taking our tax dollars, right? So if we want to talk about it takes a village in the community, well, how are they benefiting the community? That's a valid question to ask. How is the part-time grad student, mother to cats, benefiting the community? Maybe they'll tell us.
And because she doesn't have to depend on an employer for her insurance, she's able to work for herself.
The flexibility works really well with being able to make my appointments around my work schedule.
I love it, like, because she works for herself and they're trying to convince you that she's actually like a freelancer, a legitimate writer. This is her putting on her game face. It's a couple mouse clicks and petting a cat. I mean, we work for ourselves. If you could see
hard at work.
Not gay Jared, as much as he's deplorable. He works like crazy. Courtney works like crazy. We are self-employed, and we now have a great partnership with CRT. We've been self-employed for years. We're not doing a couple clicks and petting cats. So again, it begs the question, well, what kind of a work ethic here? What kind of an illness? They're very vague in this, in describing what's the specifics that you need to know in order to make their emotional argument, which comes next.
On election night, my first thought was, what does this mean for my sister?
Donald Trump.
You selfish witch.
Obamacare is a big law with lots of different parts. And there are some parts that Trump and the Republicans in Congress say they want to keep. For example, before Obamacare, companies could refuse to sell insurance to people with lots of health problems. Obamacare says they can't do that anymore, and Trump and the Republicans say they want to keep it that way.
Well,
the problem is, this piece of the
people.
law that they like, that they want to keep, it only works because of another piece of the law that they don't like, a piece that they've promised to get rid of.
We'll get rid of the individual mandate.
That's the part of the law that says you have to have health insurance or pay a fine.
Okay, here's something that's really important. A fine, and what shows up on screen for those listening terrestrially is $695. No. That's the minimum fine. That's the minimum fine. As a matter of fact, there's a calculator right at healthinsurance.org. You enter in your year, state, are you married, members of the household, and it calculates what fine you'll actually pay. Almost invariably, it's much higher than $695. Not to mention, it's not fair at all. It's unconstitutional to force people to buy a private service. So just don't let that be glossed over. Well, $695, why don't you pay for the insurance? Well, what if it's $1,500? First off, you can't just put a number on it, but if we put a number on it, it sucks. Next clip.
For health insurance to be affordable, you need a lot of healthy people to sign up for every one sick person. That's because health insurance is worth more to sick people, and they'll pay more for it, which pushes up premiums for everybody else. The healthy people in the pool consume less health care, and that helps keep the cost down. If Trump and the Republicans get rid of the individual mandate, which they say they will, a bunch of healthy people are going to stop buying insurance. Premiums will go up, and more healthy people will leave, until all that's left are sick people who are really expensive to cover.
Okay, so let me understand why this is a bad thing. You mean to say that if you remove the unconstitutional mandate, essentially forcing people at gunpoint, that's what the government does, they send in scary people with guns if you don't do what they tell you to do, you're saying that when you remove that, people will go back to making decisions out of their own free will as they did before Obamacare, where younger, healthier people didn't pay for insurance plans, certainly not extravagant plans? That also points out when Barack Obama used to talk about 40-something million people uninsured. Yeah, a lot of them were young people who chose not to be insured. It's not our job as taxpayers. Well, it's not the job of the government to rob us, the taxpayers, in order to make up for other young people's poor decisions, right? But they're trying to present this as though it's a bad thing. They're trying to present this as though it's a problem. Let's roll the next clip.
Too many healthy people were choosing the fine over health insurance. And as a result, states like Alabama and Oklahoma only have one insurance plan on the market. Without competition, premiums shot up last year. And if Trump and the Republicans get rid of the individual mandate, we'll likely see this happen in other states, like Texas, where my sister lives.
Yes! Yes! Exactly! First off, do you see what just happened there, not Jared?
I think they were arguing for competition.
Yes!
That was kind of weird.
Stream is healthy, by the way, right?
Stream is healthy.
Stream is healthy. We're right back. And Tommy Sotomayor coming up next. You know, it's so funny. She was arguing for competition. She doesn't understand. She just made an argument for insurance across. We don't have time for the next video montage, do we?
We can go. We can do it.
She made an argument for insurance across state lines, which I feel like I've heard people talk about this. Could it be the party of no with no solutions?
We should have gotten rid of the lines around each state so we can have real competition.
We should allow people to purchase health insurance across state lines.
Look at across state line purchasing. We don't need more government in health care. We need to free people up.
Cross-state line purchasing of health insurance allows health plans to be portable, to move with an individual from job to job and state to state, and gives Americans a wider range of plans.
Of course.
Cool.
We don't have time for the montage of people who are against insurance across state lines. We do? We do have time? Okay, we do have time. Well, okay, so Republicans were for insurance across state lines. I remember that, because now Vox is saying it's a problem, and I understand where they're coming from. But there was a party who they were adamantly against opening up insurance across state lines. Jared, perhaps you can
let's see.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't you be able to buy health insurance in Wisconsin? Because if you do, you'll buy health insurance for a company that won't cover women for pregnancy. You'll buy health insurance for a company that decides not to insure any sick people. And then you'll have the same problem of skewing the insurance pool.
The philosophical concern I have on that is that you potentially get what's been referred to as a race to the bottom.
Okay.
That's how you stumbled there. He's like, the philosophical argument I have against that is
race to the
right?
bottom. Yeah, it's so right away Vox is now saying, well, it can't work without the individual mandate because certain states, they can't offer competition, they can't allow health care across state lines. Well, so you don't need the mandate, you just need to open up insurance across state lines. It's what we proposed in the first. Let's get back and let me tie it into the macro here. Stay tuned, and we'll do this. We'll do this. We'll do this. We'll try. We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do it.
For breaking news on the Hour with Crowder, I'm Perry Matheson. We'll now present to you an exclusive interview with presidential candidate Jill Stein, who's demanding a historic recount in Wisconsin, for which she has raised a whopping $4.8 billion on GoFundMe. Miss Stein, thanks for taking the time.
Of course.
Now, Miss Stein, you are clearly very anti-Donald Trump, but you have also made clear your disdain for Secretary Hillary Clinton.
That's correct.
And some in the industry have been reporting on that as a bitch move. Regardless, what is your motive in demanding this recount? Who do you believe will come out the victor?
Myself?
So a delusional bitch move. We appreciate your time, Mrs. Stein. We'll keep you abreast as this story unfolds. For Louder with Crowder, I'm Perry Matheson.
It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Come cheer up my nights, come cheer up my nights. It's better to have loved and lost. It's better to
back. That was Pogo. Coming up next, Tommy Sotomayor, who is actually a fan of the Pogo. We've turned on a lot of people to Pogo. We're glad. Hopefully he gets his work visa issues worked out. We don't have any more clips from Vox, do we?
No more. That's
okay, good. We don't have any more clips. So this is what's so funny, right? This is important because now they're talking about Obamacare. They're talking about how people want to repeal it. And let me bring you back. Vox is saying it doesn't work without the health care mandate for their part-time writer who is a mother to 2 cats because there's no competition across state lines. Republicans, conservatives for the longest time said, well, hold on a second. Before we try a public option, before we go crazy, let's do something as simple as tort reform and opening up insurance across state lines. Democrats said they were the party of no. Here's something that really bothers me when you watch Vox. Great, I get it. You want free health care. But you're not the only victim. You know, when we talk about, well, what's fair with the housing bubble, it's not fair for people to be kicked out of their houses. Well, you know what? It's not fair for people who saved up, who didn't overspend, who didn't live beyond their means, and want to buy those houses. And now there's a market opportunity for them to buy something they can afford and have a great life, but because the government steps in and decides that the other people can't be kicked out, that's what's fair. It's not fair for people who employ dozens of others. It's not fair for small business owners who have crippling costs with Obamacare, so they have to lay people off or they have to make people into part-time workers, and then Democrats want to step in and say you can't make them part-time workers, so they have to close their business doors because what's fair is for the girl who's a freelance writer for Vox and a mother to 2 cats wants to pay for her pain pills and likely birth control. Remember, we're footing the tab for that. Let's actually get to what's fair. Let's ask this. This is the self-esteem generation. Okay, Vox sister, how many people do you employ? How many people have you helped? To how many charities have you given? How many other people have you reached out and lent a hand? How many loans have you given? How many health care plans have you decided to find for other people? How many markets have you, what benefit have you been to other people? How many people have benefited from your existence? Not just what can you take from them, but how have you given to them? And that's the issue. It's selfish if you want to keep what you've earned working like crazy, but it's not selfish for this girl who's doing 2 mouse clicks and petting her cat to take from you to pay for her birth control, to pay for her vagina pills, to pay for whatever it is. I don't know, Percocet, who knows? They don't want to specify. So let's stop talking about what's fair, and let's go back to what's constitutional. Let's go back to what's right, because I frankly don't give a rat's ass as to what you think is fair anymore. You think it's fair for conservatives to be banned from campus, and you think it's fair for people to have safe spaces and trigger warnings and not pay for their health care and stay in a plan until they're 26 years old and get free college and get free cars. I don't care what you think is fair. It doesn't matter anymore. Fair means nothing. Okay, speaking of fair, hey, Tommy, could you do me a favor real quick? Could you go in that corner right there and shut off that power bar? That's what's giving us some glitches. Right there underneath. Yeah, just hit the little light there. Look at me. We got Tommy Sotomayor. I'll be coming in really soon. You knew it was going to happen.
I knew it was coming.
So Fidel Castro died, which is a big deal. Of course, leftists sold out O'Brien. They were trying, well, let's look at this with balance. Well, what's the balance in a guy who stripped people of their musical rights, and a guy who destroyed people's privacy rights, destroyed a country that was once unbelievable? People wanted a vacation there. Not saying Batista. I'm talking about in modern history. Fidel Castro is all bad. Che Guevara is all bad. At some point, again, no matter what's fair, I don't care what you think is more complex. I don't care what kind of balance you want when taking on a story, Mr. Kaepernick. It's fine every now and then to just say, oh, Fidel Castro's dead. He's an evil bastard. That's a good thing. Isn't it always sad when there's a loss of... No. No. But don't you... No. Isn't that unchristian of you? No. You're glad he's dead? Yep. Do you wish it was painful? Most likely. But we have something here. Do we have him on the line? Okay, well, here's a segment. We were actually able to get an exclusive with Fidel Castro from hell. So let's go to it.
Fidel in Hell.
Well, good to have this get. Let's see how it goes. Mr. Castro, are you with us?
No.
Hold on, what do you mean?
I regret to inform you that I am no longer with you.
Okay, I see. That's very cute. I can see that.
I like to have a laugh, Esther.
Well, I can see that. Fidel, what have you been up to lately is what we want to know.
Oh, no, not too much, just hanging around. The other day I ran into my old pal Che Guevara. Oh. We smoked some cigars. We shoot some necros.
What? I don't know what... Why would you and Che be shooting people of color?
Well, you know, they're lazy.
No, I don't know that at all. None of us here at Louder with Crowder understand that at all, but I guess that stands to reason you were a horrible racist. Were you surprised at all at your passing and then your subsequent sort of landing pad there?
Not so much, you know. I figure as an agnostic, I figure I have a 50-50 shot. But as I smelled the sulfur and I saw Lenin, I figured, that makes sense.
Oh, okay, right. I see that.
I only wish it happened a day earlier.
Why's that?
Well, you know, as a communist dying on Black Friday, it's, you know, Stalin and Lenin and Mao, they never let me live it down.
Is there a lot of hazing that goes on there in hell?
Not so much hazing, but, you know, third-degree burns and hot poker up the ass.
Oh, okay. No, we can't talk. This is FCC. I imagine, though, it sounds like from what you're saying, then hell's pretty rough. Deservedly so, maybe.
Actually, it's very similar to Cuba.
Okay. How? Didn't want to say this because I didn't want to, but you look like you're more well-fed. You look less gaunt.
Well, you know, it's surprising what you can do with access to fresh produce and, you know, not have to wait in the food line.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't have to fight for the toilet paper. I have the tax breaks. You know, it's good.
Yeah. Well, I
Plus,
guess
the old wife not there to complain about my scoiba.
Jared?
Steven?
Jared, are you okay? Jared, are you okay?
Been here the whole time.
Okay. Sorry about that, Fidel.
That happens all the time. The other day, Soledad O'Brien was here because she slipped in the tub.
But that's terrible. Is she still alive?
She's fine. She snapped out of her coma after a few days, but not after I hid the cigar in the old humidor.
Okay, no. Fidel from hell. We have to vet these better, ladies and gentlemen.
Fidel in Hell.
I mean, I'm glad that we're increasing the quality with the booking of the show, but these people need to be vetted.
This is nuts. We're gonna get dropped so fast.
We are going to get in trouble with CRTV. It's a partnership, and they're happy, and we're going daily in January, it really is that simple. I do get sad for a country when we get to a point. I understand that we can disagree on a lot of things. We just talked about that with Dean Cain. I'm sure Tommy Sotomayor and I disagree on a whole lot. But it does bother me when we get to a point where an evil son of a bitch dies, and you can't say an evil son of a bitch died. I mean, that should be a great unifier. Could you imagine when the news came out that Hitler, as a matter of fact, well, we'll talk about it. Tommy Sotomayor after the break.
And now, Home Alone, but realistic. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what I ask of you is not easy. I ask that you ignore the media circus and prior knowledge regarding the criminal trial. As today, in this counter-civil suit, I intend to prove to you that the actions on behalf of one Kevin McAllister were excessive, egregious, and cruel use of force, which were both entirely unnecessary and have no place among civilized society. Ladies and gentlemen, my clients are guilty of petty theft. That's true. Trying to feed their families, scraping by. And for that, I make no excuses. But Mr. McAllister escalated these events, hitting my clients with paint cans, lead pipes, tool bags, tool chests, bricks, shooting them with BB guns, electrocuting them with 12,000 volts of electricity, blowtorching them, causing third-degree burns twice, and, as previously disclosed by one of my clients, Marv Merchant, not being here today, drove a rusty nail through my client's foot, resulting in his subsequent passing from tetanus. And for that behavior, we all should offer no excuse. Your Honor, I'd like to call my first witness to the stand, Mr. Harry Lime. Stay tuned for more Home Alone, but realistic.
You don't have to be a doomsday prepper to want to be prepared. Natural disaster, riots, any kind of civil unrest, it just helps to have peace of mind and know that if you need it, you've got a 30-day supply of food. And that's why right now with a promotional offer from louderwithcrowder.com, you can call 888-457-3453 or go to preparewithcr.com. That's 888-457-3453 or go to preparewithcr.com. You can get your 30-day full supply of food. Set it somewhere, forget about it, $99 shipped, 140 servings. Gotta tell you, it's easy. I just keep it in my basement, and it's actually, I tried some with my wife. It's pretty good. It's tasty stuff. Oh yeah, their chocolate pudding it's actually really pretty tasty. How are you breathing with that? Damn it.
Reach the wizard.
Wake up.
Reach the wizard.
All right, we're glad to have our next guest on. He's here in studio. This is a rarity. Tommy Sotomayor. Now, what's the best plug for you? Is it your Twitter? Is it your YouTube?
Probably my Twitter, because I can't keep up on Instagram or anything else. They flag it down. So
They flag it down. 1 second. Hold on a second. Do we have his mic in? Not gay Jared? Can they hear him? Yeah. Because I can't hear him. Did they hear him what he just said?
I think so. Talk.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear him. Can you hear him?
That's right, because I can hear you.
No, Courtney can't hear him.
There we go.
All right.
Am I on now?
I think he's on now. Is he on now?
Can you hear
Should
me?
be on now.
Not gay Jared. Is he on now?
He's on now.
Courtney, can you hear him?
I'm talking.
Yeah,
I'm
okay, I
saying
think now
words,
I can hear him.
words,
Yeah, I can hear him.
things.
As long as you can check in your levels there. This is a disaster for first night. We don't even have the right sign. As long as Jared tells me, I'm trusting Jared that he's good to go. All right, we have
That's
Tommy.
good.
What's your best plug? Sorry, Tommy Sotomayor.
Probably Twitter at TJ Sotomayor.
At TJ Sotomayor, and he's got some Grand Marnier there.
I got the grandma.
When I asked him, hey, what's your drink of choice? He's like, no, and then I think he thought we were too cheap to have Grand Marnier here in the cabinet.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, you had very low expectations. Well, we appreciate you being here. So, you do a lot. You do a lot on the YouTube. You do a lot online, and a lot of people don't like you.
I know.
Namely, black people.
I've had a bunch of white guys coming at me lately, though.
Guilty white people.
I know, and that's why we got the shirts on the website called Guiltless.
Yes, exactly. I love the plug, too. He's plugging it out there.
Shameless.
Okay, so first off, did you vote in this election?
Yes, I did.
Did you vote for, who did you vote for?
Donald Trump.
Ah, there you go. Did you lose friends and relatives over that?
I lost relatives that I was financially compensating in the first place, so they came back after.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was one of those things where, yeah, they were upset for a little while. It was strange, though. You had people really going against each other because of ideologies.
Right.
And most of the parties who were having the biggest problem, Democrats.
Yeah.
Were the main people who want you to accept their ideologies.
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic?
Well, it is ironic, but it's not. This isn't an Alanis Morissette song, so we don't need. I mean, we get the irony. I don't think she understood irony sometimes in that song. It's like, no, Alanis, that's not irony. That's coincidence. Dumb broad. Irony is like, I need to buy an anvil and you die by an anvil.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coincidence is like, oh, this happened. We both happen to be here. Isn't that ironic? No, it's not. And people misuse it all the time. Also like the term literally. So
yes.
You voted for Donald Trump, and we were talking about this. So you were just talking about this off air. Now there's a protest in North Carolina with Keith Scott. It just seems like we're at a point where we are so damned if we do and damned if we don't. And do you feel like with Barack Obama and now the transition to Donald Trump, that baton passing is going to be worse than ever before?
Well, I think what happened is we had 8 years of not being able to honestly criticize a president.
Right.
So now you're going to have one that's going to be overly criticized because for 8 years they haven't been able to say anything. So now it's
makes sense.
I mean, think about it. There were so many things that people would normally say about a president that you couldn't say about Barack Obama because if you said it, you were racist.
Yes, that is true. And then there's some people who are actually racist, like Not Gay Jared. You should hear what he says when you didn't have the headphones in.
Exactly.
Horrible.
I just saw the faces.
He was cutting holes in sheets. Jared, you should be ashamed of yourself.
That's my bad.
So the Keith Scott situation, black cop shot a black guy. It seems like they found a gun here, and you talk about this a lot on your show. What has the reaction been with that one? Here's one thing I will say about that. Okay, and you can correct me if I'm just culturally insensitive, because I know of some people who are out of touch with Black American culture. Not myself. Grand Marnier, we got Hennessy there.
This is the first thing he offered me was Hennessy. And then he said Colt 45.
Well, no, there was malt liquor. I was like, do you want some Mickeys there, brother? No, so I watch it, and I watch this tape of the woman. Now it's revealed that the guy did have a gun. You know, that tape came out. But I hear the wife, and she's just saying, he better not be dead. He better not be dead. Talking to the cops when she thinks her husband was just shot. Now, if it were my wife, she'd be crying. She would be out of her mind. She'd be really sad. This woman seemed indignant, just like she was there to piss off cops. Is that typical, or did you watch that and think that was weird as well?
No, it reminded me of my mom or my aunt. I mean, it was pretty much any random black chick off the planet. I mean, I'm sorry, that is just. Remember the woman who got her husband shot in Minnesota, or her kid's father in Minnesota. Yeah. She went live on Facebook and was talking the exact same way. He was still breathing. She said, "You killed my boyfriend."
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm not dead."
Like literally, it's like a Black Money case. I'm not dead yet. You did.
Right, like white women will try to take you from, do not go towards the light.
Right.
Like she's pushing you towards the light. It was weird.
Well, it's a black light.
Yeah, and apparently. But and like all kinds of stuff show up, but that's neither here nor there.
I can see your teeth.
But if you think about it, like, well, from my perspective, it was not abnormal to see these women turn the spotlight to themselves. Yeah. But what really bothered me about her situation is she said, he doesn't even own a gun. And they went back and found that 8 months prior, what did she go to the police and say? He's been threatening me with a gun. Yeah. She asked for a restraining order, and it was for the exact gun that they found on her.
Well, maybe that's why she's not so upset. And maybe that's why he better not be dead. Oh, I hope he did. He better not be dead. The worst one, too, was well, the worst one was Corn Gaines, but we had that. That was so much material for this show because, I mean, I know it's sad again when everyone dies, but it's not always sad when everyone dies.
I was going to say, is it always sad
No,
when
it's
someone
not
dies?
with Corn Gaines.
First off, we need to cut that out.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes, well, first off, death is inevitable.
Yeah.
And sometimes it came just right in time. Because if you think about that kid was going to have to grow up in a house with an idiot.
Well, that's true. But I also think you aim a loaded shotgun at cops. You kind of have death on speed dial. You know, they're in your top 5. Yeah. As it were. You have rollover minutes with death.
Right, it's like death and dominoes and probably like that.
Yes. Okay, so what's your take here on Keith Scott now? Because like you said, they're rioting over this. Are we gonna hit a point, do you think, where there are people like you, people like my friends, Alfonso Rachel, Larry Elder, who are on the show? It seems like more black people are willing to speak up. Do you think there are more black people who think the way you do and are afraid, and now they'll be less afraid, or do you think it's still, they've got that the Democrats have got them by the short hairs?
Well, once you offer someone something that they don't really have to work for, it's kind of hard to lose that fan base.
Yeah, that's true.
And when they do that,
it's like Metallica. Doesn't matter what they do. It's just terrible now. Everything posts St. Anger. People are like, I love him. We're phoning in, yeah. It's terrible.
Well, and people like Larry Elder and myself, the things you have to worry about is, for some reason, the name calling means a lot.
Yeah.
I equate black people to like Marty McFly on Back to the Future.
Okay.
Like all you have to do is just say, hey, well, are you yellow? Are you a chicken? Yeah. And we'll stop. So what we get called is a coon or a sellout. And we'll stop. And that is so powerful in the black community. The names
Wait,
that
is coon a term for sellout? I thought coon was more of a racist term against blacks from like the Charlton Hestons.
It used to be, but black people want to feel, there's a whole psychology behind it. Black people want to be white people, so the best way to be white people is to adopt white terms.
Why would they want to be white people?
Well, white people have been in power, and black people would like to be in power, if you think about it. Blacks believe that whites are oppressive to them because of their skin color. Well, in the black community, one of the main things that black people do to other blacks is pick on them because of their skin color. There's a guy who was on Tucker Carlson, Tariq Nasheed.
Yes.
Yeah, Tariq Nasheed has a puppet aimed at me, making fun of me, called Crispy. Crispy is saying I'm so black that it's unattractive.
He has a puppet?
Yeah, he has a whole puppet series.
Is it funny?
Nah, I don't think it's funny at all, coming from a guy that says melanin is magic.
Right, and he calls you crispy?
Yeah, and he has a whole series of how I'm black and the being black is ugly.
Well, no, but puppets can be remarkably funny.
No, they are.
We wanted to get a Roger Ailes puppet who would just peer into the ladies' skirts whenever they're on the show, but HR wouldn't allow it.
See, and that's sad because I would like to see.
Yeah, I know we don't like to see it. By HR, I mean not Gay Jared said he would file a sexual harassment lawsuit. Hey,
it's in the works.
We're going to have you. I want to roll this clip here, so if you can hear your stuff in your earphones now, right?
I can hear myself.
Okay, you can hear yourself. Can you hear? Okay, he can hear the program, right? Not Gay Jared.
Can.
This clip happened on CNN, and it was a gift when I knew that you were going to be on the show this week. We have 2 clips, right? Yep. Let's roll the first clip here, where someone was quoting someone else falsely, by the way. It was a liberal trying to quote a conservative. And, let's just watch the clip here. Tommy.
Choose as a White House counselor, a man who uses the word nigger, whose wife says that he did not want his daughters to go to a school with too many Jews. And don't choose as an attorney general a man who calls the NAACP an un-American organization, and who we learned in The Guardian today went so far as to prosecute
Charles,
two of the
just
people.
hang on a second. I appreciate you going through all of this, but please don't use the N-word on my show.
I'm sorry. Well, I never use the N-word except when I'm quoting someone who's been appointed by the president to serve in the Oval Office, since this is such a disgusting moment in our history.
Look at that face. Okay, now you would think that would end there. Now, first off, I have to ask, were you offended by that guy making a quote?
No, if he's quoting something,
well, it was inaccurate. He was trying to quote Steve Bannon, and he didn't use it.
It was inaccurate as well?
He's a liberal trying to quote a conservative who didn't use the word, but she didn't know it really at the time. So it's just funny, the virtue signaling from the white woman, but here's where it gets really good. At the end of the show, she still can't let it go. Watch.
I'm still, the more I've sat here and listened to the fact that somebody used the N-word on this show, it is not okay. It is not okay, Charles Kaiser. I respect you. I enjoy having you on as a guest, but not okay. By the way,
do you think that's genuine, or do you think that's just her like trying to go for the ratings?
I'm assuming they should have put some pearls on her so she could have clutched.
I know.
I'm not really understanding how she has such indignation.
I know. But it's not been this bad before when I was being raised. You know, it does seem like, I wonder if it's kind of like the death throes right now with liberals, or broadcasters, the terms are synonymous at this point, as they move toward Trump to try and be like, we are just so offended by everything, because they want to set the stage for being extra offended by Donald Trump. But I don't know, I watched that and I was going, well, you know what, again, maybe I'm a white guy, I'm out of touch, but it just seems so silly to me. She acted like it was reverberating through her soul.
Well, and that's the problem with it. The problem with white people are white liberals and white guilt.
Yeah.
This idea that you can be so offended by a word more than the guy. The black guy was sitting there just waiting on the next point. You're like, okay, where's he trying to go with this? let's see where this goes.
Yeah. I hear that every day.
Right. Like, he wasn't offended by it, but this woman was like, oh my God, someone give me my oxygen back because I just lost it all.
Yeah.
And then later in the segment to be crying about it or false, as you said, it's virtue signaling. But what it really is everybody in this effort to make sure that they're overly sympathetic towards the black cause. Because you got to remember, there are white people who, if they don't seem sympathetic when someone says something, they're fired.
That's true.
They're losing their jobs.
Yeah.
So if she knows this was said on the show, she doesn't know the tenor of the people watching.
Yeah.
So it's best for her to go over to the left than look like she's just letting the interview go, because they're going to say, well, you were enjoying it as well.
Yes, Jeff Zucker might walk in and go, listen, let me speak with you, sweetheart. When that young man said the N-word, you did not display enough outrage. We're going to replace you with Soledad O'Brien.
That's right.
Also, you're not attractive enough. We need to compete with Fox News.
Right. It doesn't get any blacker than Soledad O'Brien.
No. Well, have you seen her this week when she was doing the apology tour for Fidel Castro? No. Now, are you aware, though, by the way, that Che Guevara and Fidel Castro were notorious racists? Are you aware of that history? That
I heard this somewhere, but I'm not really
sure. You probably heard from Fidel from Hell. That's probably where you heard it before. Yeah, no, Che Guevara hated black people and wanted it to be that pure blood European, pure blood Spanish European. He believed they were lazy. He believed they were incompetent. He believed they were a drain on the workforce. And so there were a disproportionately large amount of black people executed in Cuba without trial. Under Che Guevara, and then of course Castro, they were buddies, and most people don't know that. So when they wear the Che Guevara t-shirt, it literally is supporting a racial genocidist, if that's a word.
I actually did not know this.
No, it's horrible. Yeah, how can you, I don't understand how you can live as a black man in 2016 and not know about the mass,
that was kind of a big one.
I think he's going to unzip himself, and it's going to be like, hey, It's me, Val Kilmer. That was a callback to Dean Cain, which you couldn't hear earlier. Okay, we're going to come back with you. What's your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is Tommy Sotomayor.
Tommy Sotomayor. Great stuff. We love it. And he has a lot of championship belts. I don't know where he gets it from.
Because I win them from people like you who can't debate people like me. I'm drinking to that.
Well, I think it's because he's black and they box a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned.
Obvious.
We have created a product that is the most deliberate middle finger to the media establishment ever designed. Ceramic, two-toned, with a charred rim and hand-etched finish. This product grants those who wield it entry into the most exclusive club in all the universe. Aluminium, the Louder with Crowder Mug Club, will change the way you view the world, where possibilities are now endless, where barriers are distant memory, and #NeverDaily transforms into a new daily program. Fish and Chips, where Stephen is free to be unfiltered, uncensored, and even capable of gross abuses of the FCC guidelines and not Gay Jared's physical body on live broadcast. Proudly introducing the Mug Club.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
Crumpets.
No, I'm narrating something fancy like. Leave it there. Yeah, I'm narrating. Proudly introducing the new daily program, the Louder with Crowder Mug Club aims to elevate the human experience.
It's just our
both-
only minute.
What the f*** is it with you?
All right.
It's f***ing distracting while I'm trying to narrate a new commercial.
And I don't want nobody, and I don't want nobody. You got that right. And I don't want nobody. I lost. Want nobody, and I don't want nobody.
Jail never need.
You got that right. And I don't want nobody.
You're hearing us out and sing. Look at this. We were doing this. YouTube.com/Tommy Sotomayor. Tommy Sotomayor, right?
Yes.
Twitter is TJ Sotomayor.
Yep.
Okay, so you wanted to talk about before this. You had an interesting point about women voting in this election. Now, was it? You said, okay, what's the percentage of black women who voted for?
96%. Well, they said it was 96 between 96 and 98. Percent of all black women voted for Hillary Clinton, a white woman.
Right.
But white women who were basically being forced by the liberal media to vote for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
We're shattering the glass ceiling. If you're a woman and you don't want to vote for, because they were making ridiculous arguments about Donald Trump. He's a sexist, he's a racist, and then they started coming up with names I'd never heard of.
Well, you've given me some. Niggly Pig was one. I'd never heard of that.
A niggly bear, they're bears.
Oh, bears. Oh, okay.
They're bears.
That's
Because
a
they
key
were
difference.
telling me about white people getting killed by grizzly bears, so I was like, well, black people get killed by niggly bears.
And then a host at CNN went, "How dare you, Mr. Sotomayor?"
And I was like, see, I have the card to be able to do that. I'm a black guy, so I can say what I want. That's a great part about that.
That's
being
true.
Black.
You can punk white people and they'll just do what you want.
Yeah, oh, you remember that?
Well, my dog, you met my dog. That was a black guy tried to steal him out there in Oklahoma when I was driving. Choctaw Casino. We talked about that. And he was like, "That's my dog." I was like, "No." And he was about ready to fight. And when I put the dog in the car and I walked back up and said, "Oh, no, I ain't even mad, though."
Yeah, well, it is a beautiful dog. I was trying to figure out a way I can white boy punk you and get him out. I've just been looking around trying to figure out what I can punk you out of.
Well, you can steal the Grand Marnier and you can take that home, but be careful when the cops pull you over.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so black women voting, yeah, okay. But then you had on the flip side.
But on the flip side, white women who were basically being forced didn't do it. Matter of fact, 56% of white women voted for Donald Trump, the sexist, the racist.
Yeah.
And it was strange that the women would actually, and I'm wondering what your opinion on this. Why do you think white women turned away from the quote unquote first white woman? Because when we got an opportunity to vote for the first black guy, we voted for him en masse.
Yeah, she's a bitch.
There it is.
Go
to the break.
Just go to the break and get. No, I genuinely, she's such an unlikable person.
But why were they able to notice this? The white women were able to say, it doesn't matter that she's a woman, she's a bitch. So we don't want her there. Because black people didn't care about what Barack Obama's policies were.
Right.
It was just that he's black.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, and there is that. I mean, I can understand that as well. You know.
No, I voted for him the first time because I wanted a black guy.
Did you vote for Romney the second time?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I did.
There's no whiter candidate than Mitt Romney.
I know. That's why I liked it.
Talk
I was
about
like,
bridging
this
the
is
racial
a
divide.
real white guy. Like, you know, they say they vote for a real N-word. You vote for a
You
real
can say
white
it.
guy.
He just has to bleep it.
But I was like, this is a real white. Like when he said 47%, which I don't understand how that was ever offensive. But that's where we've gotten with the liberals. Telling the truth is tantamount to treason.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. 47% of people don't pay federal income tax, and their vote matters just as much as you and I. And the real sad thing, actually, with that is the racism of soft expectations. If you notice what they did with Romney with the 47%, they immediately were trumpeting that to the black community and the Latino community. Like, see, because they assume black people don't pay taxes, black people don't work. They assume, this is a Lyndon Johnson sort of syndrome, right? They assume that, well, you need us to help you. And so that's what's so interesting to me about that is I know you pay taxes. I mean, I know we've seen your channel. It's very successful. Pretty soon it's going to be a Willie Nelson. We're all going to have to do a sing-along, a concert to let's pay TJ Sotomayor's back taxes. Not gay Jared. He's just been, he doesn't pay his taxes just because he likes the prison sex.
What?
So, that won't break.
What if I walked into?
Well, you know what you walked into.
Is that liquid crack in that glass?
Well, no. So it was interesting to me that right away they pivoted, and this is again as an ignorant white person, just like I'm like, well, gosh, that's just horrible. They take that and they assume that it's black people who aren't paying taxes. They assume that they're incapable of doing it, and they assume they'll hate Mitt Romney. And actually, I do like Mitt Romney probably more than Donald Trump in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Really, you too?
Yep.
So if you could choose
of
either two as president, you'd pick Romney?
Mitt Romney, yes.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna get letters.
Oh, I've said it several times.
Yeah. Now, why is that?
Don't open those letters.
Don't open those letters.
No, arsenic cyanide. Don't do it. But the reason why is because he seems like more of a practical president. He seems like he uses logic, and I'm a big logic guy.
Yeah.
And the fact is, his business experience to me is more practical when it comes to, because both are supposed to be business guys.
Right.
But I look at one in the way he handles business, and he's not all about being brash. And because a lot of what Donald Trump does is just for flash.
Yeah.
Like right now, he's come back after we voted him in for certain things and said, well, I'm not actually going to do that, which I understand that.
Yeah, I get it.
Playing politics and being a politician is two different things.
Right.
But you have to understand, Mitt Romney was not giving us that. He was trying to give us more practical things that he was going to try and implement if he was to become president.
He was also a cleanup guy. I remember when he was running, like with Bain Capital, he just basically came in and downsized and laid people off. And I was going, yeah.
That's kind of what you do.
It's what you want in a government, right? Just come in, chop some stuff off, lay them off. Whereas that's kind of my issue with Donald Trump, like the $3 trillion spending that they're talking about. It's like, well, I oppose it when Barack Obama did this crazy deficit spending. I oppose it now. Hopefully he'll come to his senses. And hopefully my one hope here is that regardless, black, white, male, female, that we can support him where he's right and criticize him when he's wrong and not lose, half the audience because they claim that you're in the tank one way or the other. I mean, it switches every week, right? Depending on your opinion.
So what do you think about what happened in Indianapolis? Good or bad?
Wait, what are we talking about in Indianapolis?
Not train. It's not train. It's the air conditioning factory.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were talking about that earlier in the program. It depends. Here's the thing. I'm all for incentivizing people, right, to bring jobs back to America. But here's the truth. Made in America isn't necessarily a sign of quality. It can sometimes be a sign of crap made by big unions. You know what I mean? So I want people to make it in America. I want you to be American and buy the best. And I want to get to the point where America's making the best. A good example I always use is Harley back in the AMF days. They were horrible motorcycles. And so we put tariffs on Hondas and Yamahas coming in. This was actually under Reagan because they were much better than a Harley. And what did that do? We had a gas crisis before that. It just made it harder for everyday Americans to get to work, right? So my opinion is lower the corporate tax code, make it business friendly, but I don't want to see people like punish businesses to keep their doors open by outsourcing.
Do you not fear that companies, though, with watching this, would start to hold the American government hostage?
I do.
That's my biggest fear. When I saw that, I said, well, if I'm a company, I'm going to say, well, I'm going to ship my stuff overseas unless you give me something. And that's what it looked like was going to happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, you can stick around, actually, because we have 2 chairs, and we're going to have Courtney Kirchoff coming up, at Courtney Scoffs, at TJ Sotomayor, youtube.com/Tommy Sotomayor. Thank you, sir. We'll keep you around. Stay tuned, or you're racist.
P-O-G.
Hey, Not Gay Jared, I know people are watching this on YouTube, but where can they go if they want to watch Louder with Crowder daily and gain access to all of CRTV's programming?
LouderWithCrowder.com/mugclub.
And how much does it cost?
$99 annually, or $69 for students and veteran.
Or military, $69 for military, promo code military if you're active military, don't forget that. It's a good deal. When did you turn the jacuzzi on?
Hey, Jared, what are you doing?
Shooting bad guys.
With what?
By AR-15.
Where'd you get it?
AR-15.com.
Enunciate it more clearly so our audience can hear.
AR-15.com.
That's better. They sell guns now?
Yeah, they do.
Are they any good?
They're the best.
Where from?
AR-15.com. Kapoo. Kapoosh.
You really make that sound?
Didn't have the budget for sound effects. Kapoo. Kapow.
Oh, there's another one.
Kapow.
You got him! With what?
By AR-15.
From where?
AR-15.com.
Hey, how do you know they're bad guys?
Turbans and burkas. Kapoo!
That's racist!
See, Tommy can't help himself from singing when he gets into it. Tommy Sotomayor. Wait, do we have our theme song here today?
We don't have our theme song.
All in a new setup. Okay, but we have the audio working, not like Dean Cain. All right, so you know her, you love her. She's one of the best writers I've ever encountered. Shut up. Ever encountered in my life. At Courtney Scoffs, you know her. Courtney Kirchoff. This is the first time. Look at her in studio. We met for the first time recently.
It was a little weird.
Look at how lovely Courtney looks. Now, here's the worst part, is you're going to get criticism from people who don't like you for your worldview, and the compliments you get are going to be equally upsetting just due to the creepy factor.
That's why I don't read them, so.
Tommy's laughing because he knows it's true. He knows it's true. People are going to look at the gams. Great gams, by the way, Courtney.
Thank you.
If there was a gutter anywhere near here, you'd see my mind in it.
Yeah, God. That's what the Grand Marnier did.
I only have
Grand
one
Marnier
glass. If I throw it at him, I can't throw it at you.
See, that was actually a pretty nice compliment.
What?
What
that
was it?
that,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
my appearance made his mind go into the gutter? I
Yes,
think
that's actually not bad.
He wouldn't probably say it about Amy Schumer.
No, he wouldn't say it about Amy Schumer because she's very unattractive.
Well, yeah.
So, okay, so we have Courtney here, and she does, you know, here's the thing, she's earned it. She unlike Amy Schumer, who just tosses on an old Navy scarf and sits on a Pirelli calendar, which, by the way, I used to think
shouldn't have it.
She hasn't earned it. Courtney does all the lifting and the what's your squat up to, Courtney?
253.
Oh, good Lord. You could, that's 2 Backstreet Boys. So, okay.
She could hurt me.
That's not, why do you use yourself as any kind of a litmus test?
This is true.
That's like saying,
It's a poor thing. It's a poor thing to do.
I could probably put you over my head.
Can we do that? Can we set that up when we get her in flats?
Just pick your pair of wraps in. Can we set that up?
I would need my lifting shoes, which I left at home, but.
Okay, so Tommy was just talking about the female vote and all this, but you wanted to talk about these the reality show people. I was talking about this. I touched on it earlier this week.
Yeah.
Okay, inform the audience for those who don't know.
Okay, so Chip and Joanna Gaines are in Waco, Texas,
Mhm.
and they have an immensely popular show on HGTV called Fixer Upper, and they renovate homes.
Okay.
That's what they do.
It's not as popular as this show, but go.
Well, no, but they tear things down. They get excited about things like shiplap and tearing down a house.
What's shiplap?
It's beautiful. It's not vertical paneling. It's horizontal paneling. It's about yay wide.
Oh, that's really trendy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
didn't wanna do
because one of the reasons is because of the show.
Mm-hmm.
These people, they're wonderful people. They've got 4 kids, a nice big farm. They're a multi-racial, I guess, family. And they've just now had their 4th season premiere, and it's been very successful.
What does multiracial mean?
What do we do? Interracial.
Oh, okay. Multiracial is this panel. Interracial is.
Well, we only have 2 races here. I guess that's multi.
That's multiracial. It's
yeah,
more than one.
It is more than one.
Interracial.
Interracial marriage.
Oh, well,
so you would think that would
term, Tommy.
count.
Is it interracial or is it multiracial?
I don't know. I'm not involved in any of it, but I would assume that
You
multiracial
should
just
know
means like
this.
you're many races, and
think
just
I think
interracial has something to do with
it
what
works.
if they're doing something together.
Okay.
Don't nitpick.
All right,
Come
sorry,
on.
go ahead. I'll let you finish, Courtney.
Anyway, so what I wanted to know is why now?
Mm-hmm.
It was an obvious witch hunt. BuzzFeed was going after them. Yeah, we know that there's a war on the religious right.
Yeah.
And if you don't conform, you shall be.
Yeah. Yes.
I think it's more to
Let
do.
the record show that she did a decapitation movement.
Well, if if I had my theme song, Darth Vader, I could have done that, and then
Yes.
he could have been.
Would have been good. Why do you have to choke the black guy? Continue.
Well, I would have done you, but would you have
Why
done
don't you
that?
bring a noose while you're at it and drag him behind a truck? Gosh.
I really want to throw this glass at you. Is that bad?
I'm just saying, you got to be careful when you're tall and blonde. There's less forgiveness.
I could take off a
People
shoe
think
and
I'm
throw
Jewish,
it at you.
so I have somewhat of a pass.
Why? Because you're.
I don't know.
I don't see
They
it.
they send me pictures of
I
me in
don't
a
see
gas oven. It's horrible.
I don't see it.
Go ahead. It's
Anyway.
true though. Ben Shapiro knows this. That's why we have a kinship. Go ahead. Continue.
Anyway, I think BuzzFeed was going after, the religion, but now maybe this is the wrong term, heteronormity?
No, that's the correct term
Is
they
that
use.
it?
Yeah.
They're just immensely successful, or they're a nuclear family. They're
Mhm.
living the American dream. Everybody likes them.
Yeah.
So BuzzFeed's like, well, we got to take them out.
Yeah. And well, BuzzFeed has done, and then of course the media followed suit. The whole leftist
Yeah, what was
blogosphere.
interesting was the left kind of doubled down on BuzzFeed and said, this is an obvious witch hunt. This is a terrible thing to do. You're proving Donald Trump voters
Oh,
right.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was almost damage control because we've seen that for
Well,
the past.
I'm sure Salon didn't do that. They must have jumped in on it.
I don't.
And then tossed a pedophile
Salon's
into the
a
mix
gutter,
for a
yeah.
sip of. Yeah. Salon is where Tommy's mind is. That's where you'll find it when you walk in a dress. With
But I'm 32, so if I was 16, I mean, maybe that's where
yeah,
Salon
exactly.
would
Then
go.
Salon would be like, well, a little
13,
interesting.
maybe 8.
Yeah,
Maybe if I was
maybe 8.
8.
Let's support
Yeah.
Mr. Sotomayor.
And see, I'm 40, so my
Yeah.
back is hurting, so I'm more thinking salon pause. But go ahead.
Okay, so this happened, and you were contrasting that with
With the OSU attacker, who is a Muslim
Yeah.
and is an ISIS fanboy,
Mhm.
and ISIS, since his death, has taken him in as their own, and the media is saying the opposite, like, oh no, it wasn't his religious views. We should keep an open mind. We don't really know yet why he did it. Like, no, he did it because he's an Islamist and he hates this
Yeah.
country. So they're fine with excusing Antoine, I think is his name.
it's hard to pronounce.
Yeah, who took a kitchen knife and sauteed people, sliced and diced them, and
But you
then
can't saute with a kitchen knife. It's not hot enough.
well, but he used the undercarriage of his car to hit people.
Okay, all right.
I'm comfortable with the word undercarriage.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Makes me think like I'm a Fox News
Undercarriage.
intern.
Undercarriage.
Stop it, Courtney. You stop it.
Undercarriage.
Stop it.
We
Go
need a
home.
safe word.
Go home.
Go home. Okay, so that is a good contrast to talk about that. It's not all Muslims, right? We were talking
It's
about
not.
that.
Yeah, they say not all Muslims, and then they take the hit on Chip and Joanna wasn't even them. They weren't even available for comment. They went to find out what their church pastor said about it.
I don't
it was
understand how that's
really
controversial,
reaching.
even.
It was really reaching. Well, see, that's the thing. Go into any Christian church, pick a denomination, and tell me which one doesn't follow the biblical teaching on marriage.
Episcopalians.
Yeah,
They
these
don't
people
care.
are evangelicals. Yeah, they'll just kind of go with
Sorry,
anybody.
that meant to be. You meant that to be rhetorical. They'll marry anyone, Episcopalians, even the
Yeah.
pedophile from Salon. I don't have a problem with it. Unitarians as well, but I don't really
yeah,
think that's
but
an actual thing.
They're just that's more like a club.
Yeah,
that's for the
Unitarians are
people
more-
who don't have a religion,
Yeah.
but are not global warming.
It's like a
awareness.
Rotary Club for people who want to sing hymns.
They want the community,
Yeah.
but not the beliefs.
Well, you write about this a lot, and obviously it gets lost in the mix when you have people saying, "Oh, the Christian right is persecuted because the Starbucks cup lost snowflakes," and we agreed how silly that was.
So stupid.
But these witch hunts occur, but not long ago they wouldn't have been considered witch hunts. I mean, you would lose your job if you went to a church. Not if you're Barack Obama and your pastor.
Oh, see, that's the other thing. Okay, 8 years ago, chickens come home to roost.
Mhm.
The media, same media who's going after Chip and Joanna, like, oh, it doesn't matter what the pastor said. Like, Barack Obama doesn't believe that.
Yeah.
He doesn't believe that, and what was it, Reverend Wright?
Yeah.
What Reverend Wright says.
Yeah.
So 8 years later, this lovely little couple who's making their dream come true by building up other people's houses, giving people houses, you're going to take these people down
Yeah.
for something that their pastor said that that most of America believes.
Yeah. A significant, well, I don't know if most of America, but a significant portion of them.
A little bit
Or
over
they at least
50%.
believe that pastors or churches shouldn't have to marry, two guys
Yeah.
if they don't want to.
Yeah, and when you have someone who took a butcher knife, kitchen knife, and tried to stab people, and then the media's like, oh no, it wasn't Islam, and then the same week, Chip and Joanna, we got to get rid of them because they think, they go to a church where marriage is between one man and a woman.
I was more offended that the OSU attacker was trying to get the student discount at the
He
movie.
was bald as a billiard. Like, how do you go bald at 19?
Well, hold on. Tommy Sotomayor is wearing a hat, so we don't know.
A Niners hat.
But I'm saying we don't know what's under
Do you
there.
like Kaepernick?
If he has, can you grow hair?
Barely.
yeah.
Like
No,
I
you
have
got
a little
hair.
space
You
for a
got
cup.
hair.
You can stick it in the back. There's a big hole there.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry.
And Rogaine doesn't work.
Does it not work?
No.
Gosh, well, I love that you
Get
just
your money
delayed-
back because there's 30-day.
I tried. They wouldn't give it back. They were like, "Oh, your hair's different."
That's racism.
And then watch 2 weeks later, there's an infomercial. Rogaine Black. There's a huge market share we're missing, Johnson.
Hair is different.
But what is this? This guy that was I know Daily Mail was reporting on it. It wasn't confirmed, but they were like, he seems a lot older.
Well, some of the refugees over in Europe, like, oh no, he's 14. No.
Yeah, exactly.
If he's 14, then I'm 13, and now we're back to Salon.
Right. And we're like, wow, 14-year-olds in Sweden must be really effective rapists.
Yeah.
So I think the only way to solve it with refugees, with Islamic refugees who are rapists, who we see in these countries who come in record numbers, the only way to solve their ages is like trees. You have to saw them in half and look at the rings.
Yeah.
I think that's the way we have to do it. That's a hate crime.
It is because he's Islamic and you're
Yeah, I
Christian.
know. But he raped somebody, so I think it's okay. I think it's
But it's a cultural difference. Like, you don't understand.
is a
Like, in their
cultural
culture, women are second class, and so he brings that over here, and we should kind of accommodate to him and in solidarity. I think wasn't it CNN who was saying that we should wear
hijabs. That's right. You wrote
in
about that,
solidarity.
right?
I don't think I did. Probably Casey did.
Probably Casey wrote about it. Yeah, CNN. Did you see this, Tommy? No. They said we should to show support for Muslims, we should all wear hijabs.
Incidentally, in Islam, marriage is between a man and a woman.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Just
Well, a
heads
man
up.
as many women as he wants.
Yeah, and you can hit them, but if it's for a good reason.
It's true.
You have to have cause.
Only lightly, too.
Just lightly.
You can't cause bruising where people would see it, but when they're dressed like ninjas, that's
And,
not too hard to do.
unless you
is this not
deserved
more
it.
popular?
Islam? It's a shocker, isn't it?
Well, that's why it grows in prison.
Yeah.
It only grows by breeding and prison. And they're like, it's the fastest growing religion. Well, that's because in prison, you have Mike Tyson come in, and I'm just so angry. Here's a book that says how to hate. I forget Jesus. I'm going to be a Muslim.
You see,
And he comes out with a tattoo
when
on
the
his face.
Jehovah's Witnesses come to your door and they try to give you the Kingdom Hall pamphlet, you're like, no thanks, I'm good. In Islam, they're like, well, if you don't do this, we'll kill you.
Yeah.
Maybe have a second look.
Well,
Maybe have a second look.
I do think this last week, like you said, has been really good, hopefully, to highlight this, where anyone who's actually followed those stories, right, with these people in the reality show, and then the subsequent follow-up with the OSU situation, I'm hoping it opens more eyes. I'm hoping that it opens more eyes.
I think a lot of the liberal media are worried about it, and so they're kind of trying to do damage control and be like, okay, back up, we can't do this. This is why we lost. I mean, even people like Bernie Sanders, like you can't tell people who voted Trump that they're a bunch of racists. It's not working.
But then Bernie Sanders calls them a bunch of racists.
Yeah, and he's the new white supremacist hero now,
Yeah,
apparently.
Well, can we talk about that after the break? Because I find that absolutely hysterical. Bernie Sanders is now a card-carrying Klansman, according to some on the left. I don't have my computer with me, but we can bring it up later. We wrote about this. Courtney Kirchoff and Tommy Sotomayor in studio. If you leave, you're racist and sexist, and we have no tolerance. Hey, I know you're enjoying this weekly show on YouTube or iTunes, and it'll always be free, don't worry. But if you want to support the fight to take media back and watch Louder with Crowder daily, and get access to all of CRTV's programming, including Mark Levin, Mark Stein, Michelle Malkin, and more, subscribe at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub for $99 annually, $69 for students. Enter in promo code STUDENT. Hey, Not Gay Jared, have you joined the Mug Club yet?
No.
Glad to be back at Courtney Scoff's. You were talking about this. I need the computer. It's okay. To not have everything in writing. She's a
I need to read the words.
A writer-minded person. No, this happened. Bernie Sanders, some leftists were coming out and they were mad saying that he was an example of white supremacy. And then people go, well, hold on, let's wait. And they just, the infighting, the cannibalization of the left knows no bounds.
They're panicking because they lost, and it wasn't a landslide loss.
No, it wasn't a landslide loss. And I always say people don't need to overestimate the influence someone like Trump has right now.
Yeah. Right. So they're in a bit of a panic, and there's a lot of infighting going on, and I think it's delightful. It's Christmas.
Well, you weren't a huge Trump fan.
Keep going. I know.
So this is a good example of what changed when we were watching at election night. And I said I never wanted to go too far in because we didn't know how we would feel, right? Most people out of the crowd, I think almost everybody held their nose, kind of voted Republican down the ticket, but we weren't Trump people in the primaries.
No, I mean, all of Election Day, we were kind of miserable, like, oh,
yeah,
these are our choices. I can't believe this. Oh, this is the worst.
But then the reaction from the left, and you enjoyed it so much, where I was traveling, and you were like, I'm going to handle the site because I can't get enough of it.
We didn't have enough time slots.
I know.
It was like Christmas.
Stuff just kept coming in, and it was, okay, for the first post, like, I don't know, should I do a basic summary of everything that's gone wrong? Yes. Let's do some hits on the media having epic meltdowns. I don't like to use the word epic, but it was
absolutely
beautiful.
Epic. Is it just me, and maybe both of you can chime in here, is it just me, or was this behavior the most childish that we've seen from the left? Or has it always been that way, and we just didn't have social media to see it?
I think they've always been this way.
Yeah, it's always been that way, but they've been able to mask it behind blaming the other side.
Right.
See, like before the election, it was a foregone conclusion that Hillary Clinton was going to win.
Yeah.
So they were setting it up saying, and make sure you don't challenge the election and handle it like grown people. And then they were the ones.
3 weeks later.
Yeah.
It's true.
And that was amazing. And to what you were talking about, I just find it odd that the Ohio State guy, you can't say anything about him being a Muslim. You can't tie it to being a Muslim. But almost every time a white person does something to a black person, no matter what the circumstances are, he's racist.
Right. Wasn't there something with the cop, too, in OSU, where people were mad at him?
Because he was a white guy. And
Is that what happened?
Yes.
Yeah, and there was a guy, I can't remember his name on Twitter, but he's short several million brain cells, saying...
Tariq Nasheed?
Yes. That guy.
I don't want to say it, but now that you've said it.
Several million brain cells.
He's the one who has a puppet of Tommy.
Things are not... Oh, is that the same guy?
Yeah, calls him Crispy.
Okay. All right.
He's Mr. Hidden Colors because, of course, blacks are hidden.
I don't know that he should be driving or operating machinery.
No, I don't. She certainly shouldn't be on a panel with Tucker Carlson, which is funny because Tucker Carlson was never thought of as a really formidable opponent. I mean, remember, Jon Stewart kind of embarrassed him back in the day, and now it's just like shooting fish in a barrel because they've
With
been
a nuclear warhead. I mean, it's every time I see Tucker Carlson, I'm like, that guy, he's like my hero.
Well, it's because he's one of the only people on Fox who brings on opposing viewpoints and actually gives him and
he's so
Neil
polite
Cavuto.
about it. He doesn't raise his voice. He'll just say, wow, you're just really wrong.
Yeah, and he ditched the bow tie, which is big. He had the bow tie for the entire... Yeah, he was on CNN Crossfire with Paul Begala, and he had the bow tie all the time. Remember that was his gimmick? Do you remember that? It was always the bow tie. So I think he's this is like refreshed Tucker Carlson.
Okay, I like it. Keep doing what you're doing, Tucker.
But one thing, we've talked about this, and Courtney and I, we've talked about this. I'm sure, Tommy, you're aware of it, basically being independent media, and Jared knows we did a segment on it that went kind of viral, and now everyone's talking about the echo chambers that are created with media. You see it at Vox and New York Times, and we talked about this, the two sort of worlds where you have someone who has a mom who loves Donald Trump. She likes the page on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and then someone who likes Hillary Clinton. And 6 months in, they're just getting feeds reiterating what they want to hear. And so it really does, whereas what we do with our site, a lot of times the reason I think we're relatively successful is most of our stories come from leftist sites. Right, we run it down. It's HuffPo, it's Salon. It's like we go, what are they saying, and how do we inform people as to argue against us? Yeah, exactly. I don't think you see a lot of people doing that. Certainly not on the left, because if you're a conservative, if you're on the right, or certainly like as a black conservative, right, you've been hearing their arguments forever, and it's so rare for them to hear this kind of a conversation that they're not prepared for it.
No, and sometimes they don't even understand nuance or senses of humor.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
I read a while ago like a hit piece on, it was Milo. They were talking about Milo. Like, oh, I can't believe he said this. And I went and I watched the clip. He was telling a joke.
Yeah.
And they thought he was serious. And he had even said, look, if people don't understand humor, there's nothing I can do for them.
What was the joke? You remember?
I can't. It was something. I'm sorry, I totally ruined the punchline.
Well, you didn't have a punchline, so that's better than ruining it. Yeah, it's funny. I've had that too. I remember when I was at Cal Poly, And there was Black Lives Matter there with their phones like this in solidarity, and they were fact-checking my jokes. They were
They're jokes, people.
yeah, I know. They're like, that ain't true. I'm like, well, you're right. It's not true.
Well, you have to understand, though, a lot of liberals, I found that out. I thought they were supposed to be the educated people, and maybe they are, but they don't understand something called sarcasm. Yeah. Have you noticed you cannot be sarcastic with it?
They have no clue about nuance. They don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which is fun because they try and act like it's
convenient.
Yes.
Sarcasm.
Like Fidel Castro. It's about the nuance and the complexity. Yes, Mrs. O'Brien. You know, who knows why he committed the mass murder?
No one knows.
But he did brown the country a little bit,
He did brown the country, but Batista in him unblacked the country. Tommy wasn't aware of this.
No, I did
But the
not
literacy
know this.
rate, wasn't the literacy rate pretty good? And that's all that matters, is the intentions.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who's reporting these rates. It's like Detroit,
Right.
where they're like, our crime's at an all-time low.
Maybe
but I
you
don't
just
trust
say
your
it.
sources.
Can you just say it?
Yeah.
All of our people can read. They can't eat.
They can't eat. They have no toilet
But
paper.
they could read the cereal box if one was given to them.
Well, okay, this is a good question. What are your opinions here on the relationships with Cuba? You know, so you have Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz coming out. These people saying like, no, we really shouldn't have a working relationship with Cuba until they treat their civilians fairly and give them basic human rights. And then you have the mindset of Barack Obama and even some conservatives saying, well, we don't want to be isolationists, so we should reach out to them. Should we be conducting business? Should we be allowing Americans to go to places where these people don't even have basic fundamental human rights? Or is it not our business and we let people go wherever they want?
Well, you either open it up to everybody or you close it to everybody.
That's
because China has a one-child policy, or at least I believe they still
Ted Turner
do.
proposed it here in the States. I was there at the climate summit.
That, so they're taking women and sometimes just removing their second children. So but turn over a product and it's made in China.
This is true.
So where do we draw the line?
What do you think, Tommy? Do you think we should be engaging in business trade with Cuba, or no?
I think you should always engage people because just that engagement of those people will make it a lot easier for you to maybe understand them than to understand you.
Yeah, and to start exporting American ideas.
Yeah, it's pretty hard though when you go because all the money goes to the top. That's the challenge. The people don't get to hear it. I actually have a story about that in Havana with my mother when we went and we shot a Rising Crust pizza commercial when I was in high school. I was in Havana. I almost got mugged. This is true, but there's more to it than that. It involves lipstick. Watch.
Did you deserve it?
Do you have fire alarms in your house? How about fire extinguishers? Locks on your door? Light switches? Of course you do, because you're a prepared gentleman or woman or gentle Z. We want to be gender neutral here, but a lot of you could be in some kind of danger if there's a natural disaster, riot, something for which you're not prepared. I had the ice storm in Montreal for over 7 days. No food, water, or power. Doesn't need to be a cataclysmic event. Can be something that people face every day across this country, and that's why right now we have a promo with preparewithcr.com, or you can call 888-457-3453 to get your 30-day supply emergency kit. That's 140 servings for $99 shipped. This is a special offer. It's not going on forever. $99 shipped, 30-day food supply. Just register over there at
preparewithcr.com.
That's right, preparewithcr.com or 888-457-3453. I was distracted by my friend here. It's
The spider behind you. Worth it. Totally worth it.
All right, glad to be back. My Cuba story really quickly, then we'll get to you. Not now. So I was in Cuba, and this is true. We were there. We were shooting a Rising Crust pizza commercial. The studio had to run out their budget, and I was a kid, and I didn't need to go to Cuba. Long story short, you're supposed to bring things there for them, like makeup, chiclets is a big thing, like gum, things that they don't have there. My mom accidentally, when we were in Havana, put a tip on the bill. I said, Mom, they're not gonna get the tip if you put it on the bill. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so. Hey. She goes, excuse me, will you get the tip if I put it on the bill? She's like, no. She's like, oh, okay. And she goes to scratch it out, and it's like, no, like panicked, like they were gonna lock her in a closet for days on end because they would know if it was scratched out that she had told them she doesn't get the tip. So people don't understand how. I mean, this was in 2004. Just how cruel of a regime the Castro regime was. I mean, imagine there's a special place in hell for someone who punishes somebody simply for actually following the rules and saying, well, actually, I don't get the tip, so don't put it on the bill.
That's crazy. I thought women would get mad if they just got the tip.
Oh, geez.
And that's why the left loves.
Hey, this is not right. I'm sorry, Courtney.
We went to the dark place.
We went to the, well, you know, that's because we have a dark man.
I was about to say.
Okay, what were we saying? So we were talking about the CNN clip with him, and you had something to say on that.
Okay.
It was a good point.
Yeah. If you're outraged by something, that doesn't make you a better person. It just makes you an idiot. It makes you, you don't have control of your emotions. I don't know, there's this thing right now in the outrage culture. If you get really offended by something or because you care so much, that just makes you a better person. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Your feelings do not make you a better person. What you do with your feelings, actions, not intentions, not how you feel about something, not how upset something makes you, not how your heart goes out, your actions make you a better person.
Well, and that's why you're seems like a convenient position for Courtney.
Yeah,
seems
exactly.
like very convenient for you.
It is my through line through all of my work. It's like your feelings don't make you better.
Haven't we become like people who are in a race for empathy though? Like, I can be more compassionate than you.
Yeah.
And literally that's what it looks like. If you watch what people are doing, they're in this race for being the most compassionate person. But as you said, not the person who acts that way.
They don't do anything.
They don't do anything.
They change their profile picture.
Yeah, the Orlando thing was a big thing.
Everyone had the rainbow or a pair. We're in solidarity. Okay.
Oh, we got dropped by Audible because remember that, not Kate Jared?
Yes.
Because we did a pro-gun thing after Orlando, like we don't want to be associated with anything pro-gun, and we were selling Audible subscriptions like crazy.
Yeah, we had a post afterwards saying if you're gay, you should maybe get yourself a gun.
Yeah.
Two.
Little pink gun.
I want big 45. I found it online. They put like a rainbow decal something on it, so like it was like opalescent.
Yeah.
It was a gay-looking gun, but it was.
What's better if it's a 45 because you don't have to do any explaining as opposed to telling a gay man to get a 9.
Right. Well, and then the jokes, is that a gun or you're just happy to see me?
Yeah, well.
It's a gun.
Yeah, it's a gun. It's phallic jokes. So
the white people went to the dark side.
The white people are punking. It really is, it's a good point. There is this, and I do see that on the right, too, which I do think we're actually a mix of people here.
It's a race to go, like our hearts and prayers go out to these people. Like, okay, I guess we need to do that.
I don't mean so much that, but I mean where people, if you tune into AM radio or you tune into Fox News or you tune into a lot of conservative media, it's just like, I can't believe they said this, or the flag burning thing, right? How dare you burn the flag? I'm like, well, I think you're kind of a jackass, but whatever,
I felt the same way about the Kaepernick thing. Like, I did a whole discussion about I thought it was wrong for him to do it, but he also should have the right to for people I went to a football game in Arizona, and he was there. And the guy in the front row was saying that they should kill him. He was yelling it out.
Well.
And I thought, okay, this is where we both on each
defense will
side.
kill him.
Right, the offensive coordinator is doing a good job of that.
Yeah.
But
he'll get sacked.
It's where we go on both sides, though, when there's always that fringe, and it's the toleration of that, if that's a word, of that fringe that bothers me on both sides. The whole Van Johnson.
Van Jones.
Yeah.
Johnson is a common black name. I forgive it.
Right, but the children are waking up afraid of breakfast. Like, what did that mean? Like they saw a bowl of cereal and said, ah!
It spelled out Trump in their alphabet cereal.
Like when they're allowed to say stuff like that on television or the other side. It makes it to where real discussion can't be had. So that's why you have people trying to be more empathetic than someone else.
And
it's not only allowed, though, it's encouraged. I've been behind the curtain. I was at Fox News before, and every major network I've appeared, and Courtney knows, I put I just said, no, I'm not doing any more media for a while because of that. And now I'll probably get out a little bit more and do it to promote the Daily Show. But that's actually encouraged. It's encouraged to be more outraged. They would rather have the outrage over the salient point that needs to be made.
Because we've put such a great emphasis on caring.
Yeah.
Like, well, so what?
And the people don't care when the red light's off.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
It's just virtue signaling.
It really does become a problem because then when there's a serious problem, or like OSU, people just become so desensitized to it. It's kind of like the racist card, right? When they go, well, Donald Trump's a racist, and yeah, but you said that about Mitt Romney and
So it
about
doesn't mean anything anymore.
McCain.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
crying wolf.
I can't think of anyone probably less racist than Mitt Romney. I mean, you probably could find someone, but I've never seen any proof that that man is racist at all.
They had nothing on him. They tried the binder full of women, and then he put the dog on the top of the car because the dog would get sick in the car. Like, that's what you've got? That's
That was
what they
pretty
did.
bad. I would not put a dog on top of the car. I mean, Jared, when he heard that, he was like, wait, he actually did that?
Yeah, because they got mad at me for throwing my cat in the pool.
Did your cat live?
Was it funny?
Yes.
Yeah, who
I
cares?
was like, I wanted to see if the cat was like a black person. If it didn't swim, there's a black cat.
You wanted to see if the cat got its floaties and then sprinted to the next door
Right,
neighbors?
like if you threw it in the water and it didn't swim, it's a black cat.
And it's bad luck.
See, if we did that, it's over.
Oh, I joke about that all the time. Why can't black people swim, Tommy?
Actually, wasn't there an Olympic woman who won a medal? She was a swimmer.
I think it was a tranny.
She was a problem. But I don't know because I'm a black guy that can't swim. My daughter can swim though, but she goes to a white school. So
You guys can run really fast though.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's absolutely true. You know, for example, if we say, well, you know what, black people tend to run faster. No one has a problem with it.
Yeah.
And then if you say, all the world records in swimming are set by white people, or strength records. Oh, that's racist. Like, listen, I'm not saying black people can't swim. I'm not saying black people are weak. What I'm saying is the guy from Poland with fingers like sausages who couldn't sprint with a Usain Bolt, but he can lift 1,000 pounds over his head. People are genetically different. Doesn't mean inferior or superior. It means we have different assets. And for some reason, though, one is okay
bad.
and the other. I know, not for some reason. I know exactly why. But you get to say it because, you know.
No, I can get away with it, but I talked about that too. I said, why is it that when with liberals and especially blacks, like if you say something about the size of a man's whatever, or you say, well, they'll accept that. Even the guy with like 2 inches will still say, yeah, we got big. And you'll think, like, why is it okay to say this and it's not considered racist?
Courtney's
calling HR.
Like,
Calling
why
HR.
is that not considered racist, though, if you say something positive about a group?
Yeah.
But if you say something considered negative, like when you bring up the stats of out of wedlock births.
Yeah.
Well, that's racist to say that. I'm like, really? Like, Ann Coulter gets killed for talking about facts on single parents.
Yeah.
Because it's mean. And
She
we're-
might also be a little racist.
But isn't you
very
can
white.
be
But
it's
racist
funny.
but still be right?
That's true.
Yeah, two things can't be true at once.
You had David Duke on your show, didn't you?
Right.
Yeah, but you've got to disagree with some of that.
Well, I disagree with a lot of things about David Duke, but what we've lost in, like you talked about Tucker, or you too, you can still have the conversation with the individual, can you not?
Yeah.
And when we have those echo chambers, as you spoke about, where you go to CNN and all you hear is what they want you to hear and and what they assume you want to hear.
Yeah.
But they won't let you hear the other side.
Well, we'll even have some people with this show who will tune out or unsubscribe because I've said, you know what, I'm not thrilled with all the cabinet picks of Donald Trump. And that's what we're not just talking about left versus right, but people who get so into a cheerleading mode. And
they turn off their critical thought.
And media is beholden to it in a lot of ways. And we've had to really kind of balance that. I'm sure you do as well, where you're like, well, I know this will do well online, but I also know that this is the truth. And so what we do is we try, okay, what is truthful? And then is it something that people are interested in or they need to learn about or we can make entertaining? But a lot of people just say, well, let's look at a bunch of clicks. And so I'll add a few exclamation marks and, I don't know, say Obama's a Muslim or whatever it is.
Well, anytime we would report on Trump, something that Trump actually said that wasn't a good thing, people got mad at us.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, we're just the messenger here. This is what Trump said.
Yeah,
Here's
and we're the same
video
people who the
of
day
the thing
before
that Trump
praised
said.
him.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, it was one of the things that attracted me to your program, other than the tight shirts. But
these are XL.
But it was the idea that you would say one thing one day, positive about a person, but you would critically look at what they said the next day and not just be the cheerleader. Because that, to me, is the downfall of media. What it's become is I'm going to cheerlead one side, and if it's something that I don't like, or maybe they said that was wrong, I can't point out, you know what, that's wrong, or I don't agree with that. We can't do that anymore in media.
Well, and it's a slow build for that kind of thing. You know, it's a slow build when you do that. You don't get as many people who jump on the bandwagon right away because it's a lot easier to do the rah, rah, rah. Hey, look at our numbers because all we did was praise Trump. Or on the flip side, look at our numbers because all we did was trash Trump. I mean, that's why he became such a media firebrand, because it was great ratings to just laud praise on him. It was great ratings to trash him. It was not, you know, you talked about the fringe elements before, Tommy, where fringe, you know, really far right and really far left. Now, I'm probably to the right of Attila Hun. I'm very conservative. doesn't mean I'm in line with a lot of Republicanism today. But I don't think that's really fringe anymore. I think the middle has become sort of a new fringe. I know fringe, we're using the term falsely here, not quite literally the fringe.
We're all
but I think the middle here, where we're talking about, we are a significant minority. And I'm not saying moderates. I'm just saying people who are trying to be at least somewhat intellectually consistent. And that's become a real problem for a lot of people.
It's difficult, and as you said, it's a slow build. What we do is a slower build because we're at least being critical even of the people who we know or that we like. And that's not something to build. Like, you can see people who have millions of subscribers or things like this because they will stick with that one view and will be so adamant about it even when it's false.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think it's important to recognize that, and I think if you are consuming media a lot, you need to be aware of it. You need to guard your heart. You need to be aware of what you're consuming, and just balance it. We always tell people, set yourself some bookmarks, and if you're going to make one Drudge, if you're going to make one Bright, make the next one HuffPo, make the next one Salon. Doesn't mean you have to like it, but you should know what they're saying. And of course, this program, and join the Mug Club. Sorry, I had to get the plug in there, Tommy Sotomayor. But Tommy
Where's your mug? Where is it?
I'm really upset about this.
I don't know where. Oh, it's over there on the bar.
I'm going to have to mug you after.
Well, we got these Mad Men crystal glasses here.
It was a little punny, but I'll take it.
Yeah, she'll take it. So, hey, Jared, how much time do we have until a segment?
It wouldn't fly on the website and be like, no, it's not. I'm going to delete that bit.
I'm trying to think of what else happened outside of Trump cabinet picks here this week that we can talk about, because that just gets to the point where it's just, we don't know how they don't know how they're going to work yet. And so I don't like to do a lot of speculation on those things. A lot of people go, well, what do you think about that? Well, I like that Price is so rabidly anti-Obamacare. I really do hope that gets repealed. That's one thing if Trump doesn't do, I'll be super pissed.
How'd you feel about the Bannon, though? I mean, everybody's trying to link him to the alt-right.
Well,
like,
we talked about Bannon, and I try and separate personal from professional. You know, we talked about this. You know, Milo can't appear on the show because Bannon won't let him. So we talked about that. You know, he came on to debate Ben Shapiro, and you know, I've had 2 conversations with Bannon, but he only sees people as friends and enemies. Wow. And you know, I used to work with Andrew very closely. So I try to separate that from, do I think he's a racist or an anti-Semite? No. Do I understand some concerns? Yeah, I can understand some of those concerns with people. And again, that's me kind of being fair. It's like, we can't have anyone from Breitbart on the show until they leave Breitbart for no real reason, because they really are in that insular echo chamber. So that's what concerns me about him, but I don't really think he's a racist.
What about the Goldman Sachs thing? I know we don't have much time, but he's supposed to be the person who was throwing Goldman Sachs on Hillary Clinton, turns around, he hires or brings on
Bannon was a Goldman Sachs guy, or Merrill Lynch.
Do you, one-word answer, do you think it's hypocritical for him to bring him on?
Is it hypocritical? Yeah. Does it bother me? No, because I know plenty of people who work in investment banking or who work with hedge funds who are against the bailouts. So it depends to me, like, you can work for Goldman Sachs and say Goldman Sachs should have never been bailed out. So that's what matters to me, but no one wants to ask those questions. No one wants to say, well, what was his position on the big Wall Street bailout? Where's the consistency? If I had that answer, it wouldn't matter. So, it's just like I don't say, well, because he's black, don't hire him. Just because he speaks Yiddish and works at a bank. I don't care. I care what your values are. I care what your points of view are. Tommy Sotomayor, Courtney Kirchoff, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We're going to try and wrap this show up.
And now, Home Alone, but realistic. I call my first witness to the stand, Mr. Harry Lime. As you can see, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Mr. Lime has to be wheeled to the witness stand today. Why is that, Mr. Lime?
I slipped on a Matchbox car.
Slipped on a Matchbox car. Crushing your cervical spine. And who put that match car there?
It was this guy.
Your Honor, please let the record show that my client aimed his nub at Mr. Kevin McAllister.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Harry Lime, why don't you tell the jury what your current process is like? Eating breakfast.
I have to drink everything through a straw.
He has to drink everything through a straw. Because the horrible disfigurement you see before you are caused by third-degree burns, by my client being blowtorched, by Mr. Kevin McAllister premeditatedly and mercilessly on both the head and face. Twice. And Mr. Harry Lime, for the jury, to reiterate, how did that occur twice?
Clever kid and lazy writing.
Stay tuned for more Home Alone, but realistic.
Needed some air. Tommy Sotomayor and Courtney Kirchoff, for those, yeah, your microphone wasn't on. You're still learning how to actually be professional in this setting.
There's no hope for that.
Work with us. It's a work in progress here for people listening or watching terrestrially. AR-15 are wonderful sponsors, of course, partners at CRTV. Remember when we first launched this live stream? What a disaster it was.
Oh, that first one?
Oh my gosh.
First one where we had no dry run?
It was so bad.
It was so bad.
So by comparison, this is an absolute miracle.
This is a miracle.
This is an absolute miracle. I mean, the worst we've had is the, hey, but Jerry, you need to make sure you shut off their microphones.
Yeah, they're off.
I don't think that, now they're off. We're going to hear Tommy laughing over there. It's like having a studio audience.
I know.
Oh, gosh. You know, usually try and do this sort of what's your takeaway, what's your take home, and we try and make it positive. And the reason for that is because everyone else leaves it negative. Everyone else leaves every program on a negative vibe. So a couple of things, and Tommy actually suggested this. So very, very nice gentleman there in a nice, he's got the vest, but not the Rick Santorum vest.
No. So good.
He's got the stylish vest.
So good.
He has the Wallace and Gromit
That
vest.
floats when you hop in the water. Yeah.
But a couple of things to go back to. We talked about this before about having a servant's heart, but that Vox situation. Let me just readdress that. It's one of those. We're constantly looking as to what's fair, and we're constantly looking to how can we help the victim. And even for people out there who are very empathetic, even for people out there who you know your intentions are true, and I believe that many of your intentions are true, you may not realize how much you're hurting rather than helping. Telling people that they can't pay for their own health care, telling people that, you know what, they can't pay for their own taxes, telling women that they can't afford their own birth control or be sexually responsible, telling people that you need to lend them a hand, telling people that you feel bad for them and that, you know, gee whiz, golly, they need welfare reform so they can get more free stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be that extreme. Sometimes empathizing, it cheats yourself of intellectual honesty. You want to be empathetic. You want to try and think from someone else's point of view. You absolutely should, and we'll get to that afterward. But if you're only looking at how you can help that person, at some point you do have to ask, hey, you know what? How is that person empathizing with anyone else? How is that person actually contributing or providing some kind of silver lining in somebody else's life? And we often don't think about it because we use the term fair. Fair doesn't mean anything. And so you don't need to feel as though you need to be beholden to fair, particularly for some kids who've, you know, I've gotten some messages this week if you're in colleges and they talk about what's not fair. They talk about your privilege. They talk about what you need to recognize. They talk about your advantages. They talk about affirmative action. That would be fair. And so you feel guilty. You don't need to feel guilty. You don't need to feel guilty because of some arbitrary term that is fair. And fair is different from just. So it's good to be kind. It's good to be empathetic. But you know what? That should be driven by some kind of an intellectual compass. And that's what brings us to what we were talking about here. Listen, you don't have to take my word for it, as LeVar Burton says, but then he directs you toward a 4-year-old who read a pop-up book.
Makes no sense.
It's like, LeVar, don't worry, we won't.
Logic of a smart man.
But don't just listen to us. Don't take our word for it. Question it. Courtney got this job here because she insulted me. She told me I was wrong about something. I'm trying to think who else.
Remember that day very, very
Yeah, she told me the font on my website sucked. And I said, you know what? You're right. And if you do it in a way, if you're critical in a way, you present new ideas in a way that are thought-provoking, and like we said, you don't want to be a jerk, empathy combined with honesty is an unbelievably powerful tool. People are turning on this virtue signaling false empathy because there's no honesty attached to it. But when you combine the two, when you actually go out into the world and you try to understand, you try to walk a mile in someone's shoes, and even if you say, you know what, maybe I can't. Maybe I can't walk a mile in your shoes as a black man, as a woman, as a Latino, whatever it is. So I think I can maybe understand where you're coming from, not fully, but what about these laws? What about this information? Does this change your point of view? Empathy in combination with intellectual honesty is incredibly powerful, and we've seen that in our life. We've never had a single liberal outside of Zach Ford who has come on this show and wasn't willing to come back. And it's not for us being gentle. You know, I certainly wouldn't say it with Sally Cohn or Christopher Titus, but we try to actually combine intellectual honesty with empathy, and we really do try and be fair where we can across the board. And so that's what we say. Don't just listen to us. Listen, intellectual honesty can only you can only put that as an arrow in your quiver if you're informed across the board, if you're aware of what other people are saying. There's nothing more embarrassing, and I think this happened once when I was in college, because I was a high school kid and I was better in debating, and I got to college and someone actually knew what they were talking about. And I realized, oh, wow, I've never heard this before. And the left, that occurs with the left all the time. Hence the Tucker Carlson viral posts now, right? A lot of the left, they're in these echo chambers. They don't hear other points of view. So there's nothing more embarrassing than not understanding other points of view. So just going out and saying, make America great again, I love Trump, doesn't help you. It doesn't serve you, not only in preventing embarrassment for yourself, but convincing people. So what can you do? Well, not only can you join the Mug Club, of course, but not only can you inform yourself by not only listening to us, but people who would oppose us, people who would oppose us with a passion, who would be against everything we stand for. Get that. Aggregate your information. If it's a branch, if an argument is a branch, don't just start at the trunk, go down that branch and go down on every single little limb and leaf and know what they're going to say so that you can present an argument that is both empathetic but intellectually honest. And you can't do that if you're staying in the social media ghettos, as Matt Drudge has put it, with people who only agree with what you have to say. You can't, it can't be done. You need to inform yourself across the board for empathy to even seem genuine. Because how can you empathize with somebody if you don't even know what they're talking about? And how can you tell somebody that you don't empathize with them if you don't know what they're talking about? You know, how can you look a Sally Cohn in the eye or a Tariq Nasheed? I know there's not a lot of empathy there. But how can you look them in the eye and say, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Again, you can only understand intellectually, not I feel you, brah. I understand where you're coming from because I've read where you're coming from. I've read your book. I've read the same articles that you read. I understand where you're coming from. But let me present to you this information. That's the way we will rise up a generation of people who, whether you're conservative, left, centrist, and that's the way you can have the interactions with people on a day-to-day basis. That's the way you can change hearts and minds. But it's got to start with honesty. It can't start with the feels. Empathy in the absence of honesty is meaningless. And what am I looking for right now from people in this country? Intellectual diversity, constitutional conformity, and empathy, but only when paired with intellectual honesty. Think about that this week, and we'll see you next week with a custom neon sign. It'll be nice.